Emotional inflation is a compelling metaphor for our inner experiences, inviting us to imagine our feelings as if they were prices, fluctuating with sudden bursts of energy and intensity, much like the unpredictable swings of a volatile market. In this view, every surge of emotion, whether it's a spontaneous outpouring of joy or the rapid onset of sadness, functions as a dynamic spike, reflective of the delicate interplay between external influences and internal responses. Just as markets are responsive to shifts in supply and demand, our emotional states can be triggered by a single unexpected compliment, an unexpected challenge, or a moment of profound insight, temporarily inflating our inner value and reshaping our overall sense of well-being. At times, the rapid ascent of our emotions can feel exhilarating and transformative, akin to witnessing a sudden bull market, where every surge brings with it the promise of immense growth. This phase of inflated emotion is not random, but laden with meaning. It offers a momentary glimpse into the deep reservoirs of our passions and potentials. These moments, though brief, are instructive, revealing the powerful undercurrents that drive our dreams and desires. In this state, we learn to appreciate the beauty of living fully in the present, recognizing that the intensity of our emotional experiences serves as both a celebration of our inner life and a signal that something significant is unfolding within us. Yet, just as prices eventually stabilize after a rapid increase, our emotional inflations are typically followed by a period of correction, a return to a quieter state of reflection and calm renewal. This deflation is not indicative of loss or failure, but rather symbolizes the resilience inherent in our nature. In the aftermath of emotional peaks, we find an opportunity to recalibrate, assess the lessons embedded within those moments of intensity, and prepare ourselves for future challenges and triumphs. It is during this settling phase that we discover the strength to integrate our experiences into a broader narrative of growth and self-understanding, much like an economy finds balance after a period of explosive change. In contemplating emotional inflation, we also uncover the wisdom in embracing both the highs and the inevitable lows. The dazzling moments of unbridled emotion serve as vibrant reminders of our capacity for joy, creativity, and meaningful connection, while the gradual return to calm highlights our ability to recover, reflect, and rebuild. This cyclical process teaches us that the fluctuations of our emotional market are natural and essential for the development of a robust and balanced inner life. The interplay of rapid rises and gentle falls is not an aberration to be corrected, but an intrinsic part of our journey, a constant reminder that growth often comes wrapped in periods of both turbulence and tranquility. Moreover, when we view our emotional experiences through the lens of inflation and correction, we begin to appreciate the underlying patterns that govern them. Each dramatic uptick can be seen as a signal, urging us to examine the catalysts behind our reactions, be they personal victories, unexpected encounters, or moments of creative inspiration. By analyzing these signals, much like an investor studies the market trends, we learn to harness the energy of our emotions in ways that can lead to lasting personal transformation. This reflective practice empowers us not only to understand our immediate responses, but also to cultivate an enduring resilience that helps us navigate the inevitable ebbs and flows of life. Ultimately, this metaphor of emotional inflation offers us a profound perspective on how to engage with our inner worlds. Instead of resisting the rapid surges or lamenting the necessary calm that follows, we can learn to honor every phase of our emotional journey. Each moment of intensity, every peak followed by a period of deflation, contributes to our continual evolution, enriching our character and deepening our understanding of who we are. In embracing this model, we acknowledge that our emotions, in all their complexity, are not isolated incidents, but parts of a larger, ever-unfolding process of renewal and growth, a process that is as essential to our humanity as the cycles of boom and bust are to the natural rhythm of the market. In this light, emotional inflation becomes more than a metaphor. It is an invitation to invest wholeheartedly in our own experiences. It challenges us to savor the moments when our inner prices soar and to respect the calm and reflective phases that follow. Through this balanced approach, we learn that the dramatic fluctuations of our emotional landscape carry within them the seeds of passion, the lessons of resilience, and the promise of eventual renewal, a cycle that, when fully embraced, enriches our lives with depth, insight, and enduring strength. Time Stretched is an invitation to reimagine the relentless tick of the clock as a supple, ever-changing balloon, one that expands with the weight of our memories and contracts when we least expect it, shaping itself around the contours of our experiences. Picture this balloon of time, its surface elastic and fluid, stretching out during moments of intense joy or sorrow, and then suddenly deflating, leaving us with the bittersweet residue of what once felt eternal. In those rare instances when time seems to slow down, every heartbeat is magnified, each detail carved into memory with painstaking clarity, as if the moment itself has chosen to savor every emotion and thought. Conversely, there are times when an entire afternoon or even a lifetime seems to vanish in a mere heartbeat, a sudden, deflating sigh of the balloon that reminds us of time's elusive nature. In our daily lives, we often perceive time in rigid, mechanical segments, hours, minutes, seconds, counted on an unyielding clock. Yet, when we delve deeper, we begin to notice how these segments are anything but fixed. They mold themselves around our inner worlds, shaped by the intensity of our feelings and the vibrancy of our recollections. Think of a memory that stretches back to a moment of profound connection or heartbreak. That memory, like a well-inflated balloon, carries enough weight to transform the present, prolonging its significance far beyond the simple span of minutes. The balloon swells with each recollection, each echo of laughter or tear, illustrating how our subjective experience of time is far more malleable than the relentless march of seconds would suggest. As we navigate the labyrinth of life, we often encounter days when time seems to expand in endless possibility. A moment when a conversation feels so charged with emotion that it lingers, defying the usual constraints of time. In these instances, the balloon of time reaches its fullest capacity, each second imbued with a tangible, almost physical substance. It is as though the air filling the balloon is composed of our dreams, hopes, and the intricate tapestry of experiences that make us who we are. These are the moments when the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary, and time itself becomes a canvas upon which the vivid colors of our inner lives are painted in broad, sweeping strokes. Yet, just as a balloon can inflate to a point of near bursting, there are times when the pressure of reality forces it to contract sharply. It happens in the blink of an eye, one moment brimming with possibility, the next swallowed by the rapid march of obligations and responsibilities. In these fragments of compressed time, the memories that once loomed large recede into the background, reduced to fleeting impressions that vanish almost as quickly as they arrived. The balloon deflates, and with it, the intense emotions it once carried, leaving behind a quiet space that is both poignant and necessary for renewal. This contraction is not a loss, but rather a natural rhythm, a pause that invites us to take stock, to reflect on what has passed, and to ready ourselves for the next cycle of expansion. The beauty of this metaphor lies in its reflection of our very human relationship with memory and experience. Each swell of the balloon is a reminder that time is not merely a backdrop against which life unfolds, but an active participant that shapes our existence. Moments of elation stretch time into a luxuriant expanse where every detail is savored. Moments of grief compress time into a suffocating tightness where every tick of the clock seems a stark reminder of what is lost. In both cases, time is intimately linked to our emotional state, its elasticity determined by the power of the experiences we live through. Our perception of time changes with our moods, with the significance we attach to events, and with the stories we weave about our lives. The balloon of time becomes a dynamic archive, a record of our ever-shifting inner landscapes. Imagine, too, how this perspective influences our understanding of the future. Just as a balloon can be filled or deflated, so too can our expectations of what is yet to come. When we gaze forward with hope and anticipation, time appears to expand, each future moment filled with possibility and potential. But when doubt or anxiety takes hold, the balloon contracts, compressing the future into a narrow, confined space where fear may seem to dominate. This duality challenges us to consider how we engage with our own expectations and how the shape of our emotional world is closely tied to the way we perceive the passage of time. In moments of stillness, when we allow ourselves to be present and mindful, the balloon of time reveals another layer of truth. It teaches us that while we cannot control the ticking of the clock, we can choose how we fill the space within it. Every memory, every dream, every silent whisper of the heart contributes to the overall form and design of our personal timeline. There is a quiet power in recognizing that our experience of time is not a fixed sequence dictated solely by the external world, but a fluid, dynamic process that we actively participate in. The interplay between memory and anticipation creates a tapestry where some moments are drawn out in exquisite detail, while others dissolve into the fleeting blur of everyday life. Ultimately, envisioning time as a balloon offers a profound metaphor for understanding the intricate nature of our existence. It encourages us to embrace both the expansive and the compressed moments, to find beauty in the way our memories mold the fabric of time, and to accept that even as moments stretch into lifetimes or vanish in an instant, each one leaves an indelible mark on our soul. Time, in its most raw and intimate form, is not an enemy to be conquered or a resource to be wasted. It is the very medium through which we experience the miracle of being alive. In every inflated breath of passion, every contracted second of introspection, we are reminded of our capacity for growth, resilience, and ultimately, renewal. The cost of change is a powerful metaphor for understanding how life's inevitable challenges are not setbacks, but rather essential investments. Each rising difficulty, a price paid for growth and the evolution of our dreams. Just as inflation in an economy steadily diminishes the purchasing power of money, the hardships and obstacles we face can seem to erode our sense of security and well-being. Yet, beneath this surface appearance lies a transformative truth. Each challenge, each moment of apparent devaluation in our comfort, carries with it the seeds of renewal and the possibility of forging a stronger, more resilient self. Consider how, in a fluctuating market, inflation forces us to rethink our spending habits and adjust our expectations. In life too, When circumstances become tougher and our familiar routines are disrupted, we are compelled to re-examine our priorities and values. These moments of upheaval, though painful in the immediate sense, invite us to invest in what truly matters. Just as a discerning investor accepts that short-term price rises or declines are part of a larger economic cycle, we too can come to view each personal challenge as a necessary expenditure in the currency of growth, one that ultimately builds a richer, more meaningful existence. There is an irony in the way that change is often perceived. We tend to see the cost of change as a burden, a depletion of our resources, whether they be emotional, mental, or physical. However, if we shift our perspective and consider that every challenge requires an investment from us, we begin to appreciate that we are, in fact, purchasing the very possibility of transformation. The discomfort we feel during times of change is analogous to the transient pain of paying an unexpectedly high price. Yet, this same expenditure can open the door to a future filled with opportunity and deeper fulfillment. It is through these calculated risks that we hone our capacity to adapt, innovate, and evolve. In the landscape of our lives, change functions as the engine that drives progress. Much like businesses that must innovate to survive amid rising costs and economic pressures, we must also learn to see our personal investments, our struggles, and the sacrifices they demand as essential components of our overall development. When faced with adversity, our natural reaction might be to resist, to cling to the status quo in the hope of avoiding loss. But just as stagnation in an economy can lead to decay, stagnation in our lives prevents us from reaching our full potential. The willingness to accept a temporary loss, much like a drop in market value, can pave the way for significant long-term gains in wisdom and strength. Take, for instance, the experience of leaving behind a secure yet unfulfilling situation, be it a job, a relationship, or a habit that no longer serves our growth. The immediate cost of such a decision can be steep: uncertainty, fear of failure, and the loss of familiar comforts. Yet, this very act of stepping into the unknown is a profound investment in our future. It is an acknowledgement that the price of maintaining a stagnant state far exceeds the short-term sacrifice required to venture into new territory. With every courageous step, we are effectively buying into our potential, recalibrating our personal economy so that we may one day harvest the dividends of perseverance and self-belief. Moreover, the cost of change is intimately linked with the evolution of our dreams. Our aspirations rarely flourish in the environment of ease and complacency. They thrive when subjected to pressure and refined by challenge. As inflation erodes the value of what was once taken for granted, it simultaneously clears the way for innovations, fresh perspectives, and new ambitions to take root. Each obstacle surmounted enriches our experience bank, bolstering our capacity to envision and pursue a future that might have seemed out of reach in the comfort of our previous circumstance. It is in those moments of recalibration that we discover the true worth of our struggles, not as losses, but as investments that have compounded over time to yield a life of greater depth and purpose. The transformative power of accepting the cost of change lies in its ability to reshape our relationship with discomfort. Instead of viewing challenges solely as drains on our energy and resources, we begin to see them as catalysts for evolution. The temporary erosion of our stability is reinterpreted as a deliberate relinquishing of the old to make way for the new. We learn to value the process of reallocation, of risk and reward, not as a series of unfortunate expenses, but as necessary steps on the journey toward a more authentic and fulfilling self. In this light, every rising challenge is not a penalty imposed by fate, but an invitation to invest in our future with courage and conviction. Ultimately, understanding the cost of change in this way brings about a profound shift in mindset. Instead of fearing the inevitable fluctuations in our personal economy, we come to embrace them as integral to our continued evolution. The very challenges that seem to diminish our immediate worth are, in fact, the investments that pay off in the form of resilience, creativity, and the realization of our dreams. As we learn to accept that growth is never free, that every gain comes with its own set of sacrifices, we also learn to appreciate the beauty inherent in the process of transformation. Much like an economy that must endure periods of inflation to eventually experience prosperity, our lives, too, are enriched by the costs we incur on the path to self-actualization. Mind's expansive journey is a transformative odyssey where our inner thoughts mirror the vast, unfolding potential of the cosmos. In much the same way that the universe experienced a period of exponential inflation, a breathtaking, rapid expansion that broke free of all confines, our minds can surge beyond the limits of conventional thinking, opening gateways to realms of untapped creativity and possibility. When we allow our thoughts to roam without constraint, we invite a dynamic shift in perspective, one where the familiar gives way to a landscape rich with fresh ideas, bold innovations, and profound insights. At the outset, one might imagine the mind as a compact seed of inspiration, held tightly in place by the predictable rhythms of everyday routines and well-worn beliefs. Yet, like the early cosmos bursting forth from a singularity, there comes a moment when that seed transcends its boundaries and expands into a multi-dimensional space. This expansion is not random, but purpose-driven, a surge fueled by our curiosity, our willingness to question, and our openness to the unknown. It is in those moments of liberated thought that we begin to see the interconnectedness of ideas, as disparate notions merge into a coherent tapestry of understanding that defies the limitations of linear, conventional wisdom. This expansive journey is both exhilarating and, at times, daunting. As our thoughts stretch outwards, they encounter uncharted territories that echo with the potential for discovery. Each idea unfurls like a new galaxy, its myriad stars representing moments of insight that illuminate the dark corners of our previous understanding. The process is reminiscent of a cosmic dance, the spontaneous interplay between structure and chaos, where well-established patterns are gracefully disrupted by bursts of novel perspective. In this interplay, every thought is an invitation to explore, to challenge, and to transcend the confines of the mundane. Moreover, the journey of the mind is not merely about accumulating new ideas, but about reshaping our entire perception of reality. As we allow our cognitive horizons to expand, we begin to appreciate that creativity is not an isolated phenomenon reserved for artists or inventors. It is a fundamental aspect of our human experience. Much like the universe, whose very fabric is interwoven with the threads of constant motion and transformation, our thoughts possess an inherent elasticity. They bend, twist, and expand, absorbing influences from every encounter and every reflection until they resonate with a clarity that is both unexpected and deeply profound. As we navigate this inner expansion, we find that every step into unfamiliar territory enriches our understanding of who we are and what we are capable of becoming. It is a journey marked by moments of both dazzling illumination and quiet introspection, a dynamic interplay where sudden flashes of brilliance are tempered by the reflective calm of deeper contemplation. In those moments when creativity seems to soar, we experience a kind of mental exhilaration, a feeling of being unbounded by the constraints of time or space. Conversely, even when the path seems uncertain or riddled with complexity, there is a reassuring quality in knowing that each challenge is simply part of a grander narrative, one that is continually rewriting itself in response to our evolving consciousness. This journey is also a powerful reminder of the inherent potential for reinvention that lies within each of us. By allowing our thoughts to expand beyond familiar borders, we not only break free of outdated patterns, but also unlock new avenues for personal growth and transformation. Each new idea, every creative spark, acts like a microcosm of the universe itself, a small, radiant burst that holds within it the power to reshape the entirety of our inner landscape. It is an ongoing process of exploration, where even the tentative brushstrokes of a novel concept can lead to seismic shifts in our perspectives, inspiring us to reimagine our roles, our relationships, and our very place in the world. As we learn to embrace the fluid nature of our thinking, we also discover the profound beauty inherent in uncertainty. The uncharted territories of the mind, much like the boundless expanses of the cosmos, are filled with both promise and mystery. The willingness to venture into this unknown is an act of courage, one that demands that we relinquish our grip on the need for absolute certainty and instead celebrate the possibilities of what might be. It is within this state of openness that our true creative potential is unleashed, enabling us to cultivate a rich, multifaceted inner world that continuously evolves in response to our experiences. In reflecting upon this expansive journey, we come to recognize that our thoughts are not static entities confined by predetermined limits. Rather, they are living, dynamic forces capable of transcending the expected and venturing into realms of pure possibility. By embracing this perspective, we learn that creativity, much like the universe itself, is an ever-expanding frontier, a realm where innovation is born out of the courage to think differently, where each new idea is a step toward a broader, more intricate understanding of life. Ultimately, mind's expansive journey is a celebration of the limitless nature of our inner world. It is an invitation to cast aside the constraints of conventional wisdom and to revel in the vast, uncharted expanse of our own creativity. Each thought becomes a star in our personal cosmos, a beacon illuminating the potential for growth, transformation, and endless discovery. And as we continue along this journey, we come to cherish the beauty of a mind unbound, ever ready to explore the infinite possibilities that lie just beyond the horizon of what we know, forever inspired by the remarkable, untamed expansiveness of our own creative spirit. The science of exponential growth is a celebration of mathematics in action, revealing how seemingly simple formulas can capture the dynamic elegance of our universe. Mathematics unveils the beauty of exponential curves, a pattern as natural and transformative as the cosmic inflation that turned a singularity into the endless night sky. When we observe an exponential curve, we see a rapid, accelerating expansion that mirrors how space itself exploded outward in the earliest fractions of a second after the Big Bang. This growth isn't linear or gradual, it's a stunning burst, where every tiny increment compounds upon itself, leading to outcomes that defy our everyday expectations. Imagine a single point, an initial condition that might seem insignificant, suddenly giving rise to a cascade of possibilities. In the realm of numbers, Exponential growth is defined by equations where each increase in input results in a multiplicative, rather than an additive, increase in output. Consider how a small number, when repeatedly multiplied by a fixed factor, quickly escalates into something vast and complex. This principle is not just confined to abstract mathematics. It is woven into the very fabric of reality. From the way populations of cells divide to how investments accrue interest over time, exponential growth is the secret engine driving many processes in nature and society. To grasp the magnitude of exponential growth, think back to the early universe. The theory of cosmic inflation posits that in a heartbeat, the universe expanded from a microscopic seed to a vast cosmic expanse, setting the stage for the formation of galaxies and stars. This dramatic growth resembles an exponential function where each moment builds drastically on the last, propelling the cosmos from an almost imperceptible whisper of existence into the breathtaking tapestry of space we observe today. In both cases, a simple beginning transforms into something immensely complex, reminding us that growth, at its core, is about compounding change. The power of exponential growth lies in its surprising and often counterintuitive nature. A modest increase may appear almost negligible at first glance, yet when multiplied over time, it can lead to astonishing transformations. This is why understanding exponential functions has far-reaching implications. In finance, for instance, compound interest demonstrates how initial investments can grow into substantial sums, provided they are given the time to multiply. Similarly, in the natural world, populations grow exponentially when conditions are favorable, and even a seemingly tiny advantage can snowball into a significant evolutionary leap. Through these examples, mathematics teaches us that small differences, when acted upon consistently, can yield explosive and transformative results. Yet, exponential growth is not without its warnings. Just as cosmic inflation eventually gave way to a more tempered, structured expansion that enabled stable star and galaxy formation, systems that experience unchecked exponential growth can also face collapse or sudden shifts. In ecology and economics alike, exponential trends often hit natural limits or encounter feedback mechanisms that force a rebalancing of the system. Recognizing these limits is crucial, as it reminds us that while exponential growth encapsulates the power of compounding change, it also urges us to consider the sustainability and long-term impact of rapid expansion. In this way, the mathematics behind exponential curves offers both inspiration and caution, driving home the message that growth must eventually harmonize with the surrounding environment. Beyond practical applications, the beauty of exponential growth extends into the realm of pure thought. It invites us to contemplate the nature of change and development, probing deep questions about how simple rules can generate complexity and awe. In theoretical physics, the same principles that describe the rapid expansion of space also inform our understanding of energy, matter, and even the unfolding mysteries of consciousness. The exponential function stands as a universal language, a bridge between abstract theory and tangible reality. It tells us that the journey from the micro to the macro, from simplicity to complexity, is not random, but follows a precise and elegant mathematical order. At its heart, the science of exponential growth is about transformation. It is about how a spark, a mere point of origin, can ignite a process of change that overwhelms the ordinary and reshapes what is possible. Whether we are tracing the embryonic beginnings of our universe or watching the steady accumulation of an idea in a creative mind, exponential growth reminds us of the profound potential that lies dormant in every seed of possibility. It challenges us to see that each incremental step, when compounded over time, has the power to redefine the scale of our achievements and the breadth of our dreams. In reflecting on exponential growth, we come to appreciate a fundamental truth. The universe is filled with processes that transcend simple, linear progression. The mathematics of exponential curves teaches us that transformation is often non-linear and explosive, governed by the principle that every small act, every fleeting moment, contributes to a larger narrative of change. It is a story of compounding effects, where the accumulation of tiny increments produces outcomes of staggering magnitude. This understanding not only enriches our scientific perspective, but also offers a powerful metaphor for personal and societal growth. Just as a single moment of inspiration can lead to a cascade of creative breakthroughs, each small step we take in our own lives has the potential to generate transformative change. Ultimately, the science of exponential growth is a testament to the underlying order and beauty that pervades all of existence. It is an invitation to look beyond the immediate and the obvious, to appreciate the grand design that emerges from the interplay of simple mathematical principles and the vast mysteries of the cosmos. In a world often fixated on immediate results, the exponential curve serves as a reminder that true progress is built slowly, steadily, and sometimes dramatically, accumulating over time to create wonders that defy our initial perceptions. Whether observed in the stars above or the numbers on a graph, the pattern of exponential growth is a sublime illustration of how the universe, and all its many facets, is continually evolving into something even more expansive and extraordinary. Historical Echoes is a testament to the relentless interplay of human ambition and vulnerability, a narrative where periods of wild inflation have not only destabilized economies, but also redefined the course of societies. Throughout the ages, when the value of money spiraled out of control and everyday life was upended by economic turmoil, these crises became mirrors reflecting both our highest aspirations and our deepest susceptibilities. In the face of hyperinflation, the very fabric of society is stripped bare, revealing raw truths about the fragility of our systems and the boundless potential for reinvention. Consider the dramatic collapse experienced by the Weimar Republic in the early 20th century. As the German mark plummeted to near worthlessness, citizens were forced to confront a loss of financial security that extended far beyond bank balances. It shattered trust in established institutions and catalyzed profound political and social upheaval. In the midst of such chaos, however, emerged a collective drive to build anew, to redefine national identity, and to seek pathways toward renewal. This historical moment illustrates how an economic crisis, though painful, can sow the seeds of transformative change that outlast the immediate turbulence. In other corners of the world, the specter of wild inflation has similarly reconfigured societal structures. In various Latin American economies, for example, periods of rampant inflation have compelled communities to rethink the very essence of value and exchange. People, stripped of the stability provided by a reliable currency, have often resorted to innovative barter systems or the creation of alternative monetary arrangements. These adaptive responses, born out of necessity, highlight a powerful truth. When traditional economic frameworks falter, human ingenuity rises to the challenge, paving the way for reforms that seek to balance ambition with stability. Historical Echoes is also a narrative of duality, where the destructive force of economic collapse dances with the creative impulse to rebuild. Wild inflation exposes the vulnerability inherent in any tightly woven economic system, emphasizing that no structure is immune to the pressures of rapid change. Yet it is precisely this vulnerability that can ignite a spark of transformation. In the wake of financial devastation, communities are forced to confront outdated practices, reevaluate collective priorities, and ultimately reimagine the foundations on which their future is built. The painful erosion of value becomes the impetus for developing more resilient systems, where the lessons of the past guide the construction of a balanced and inclusive economic future. This historical dialogue between ruin and renewal is not confined solely to the realm of monetary policy. It resonates deeply within the human experience. The personal stories that emerge from these periods of wild inflation, tales of lost livelihoods, shattered dreams, and yet of extraordinary solidarity and perseverance, speak to a universal truth. They remind us that every economic upheaval carries within it the dual power to devastate and to inspire, to fragment communities, and yet also to forge unbreakable bonds as people come together to weather the storm. In these shared moments of crisis, the collective ambition of a society is laid bare, inviting both introspection and bold reimagining. Modern examples, too, carry the echoes of these past upheavals. In regions where inflation remains an ever-looming threat, governments and citizens alike are forced to navigate a delicate dance between risk and reform. The challenges posed by severe economic volatility drive innovative approaches to regulation, governance, and community support, ultimately serving as catalysts for change. Historical echoes in this contemporary context becomes a living reminder of the cyclical nature of progress, where each downturn, each moment of acute vulnerability also opens a window to profound renewal and the creation of more robust societal structures. Ultimately, Historical Echoes is an enduring narrative of our collective journey, a chronicle of how economic crises have repeatedly forced us to confront our limitations, recalibrate our ambitions, and discover within ourselves the capacity to rebuild from the ground up. It is a story marked by stark contrasts, moments of profound loss and disarray, juxtaposed with periods of extraordinary creativity, resilience, and resurgence. By examining these echoes from the past, we gain invaluable insights into the transformative power of adversity and the indomitable spirit that propels us forward. In reflecting on these historical episodes, we are reminded that while the turbulent forces of wild inflation can leave scars on a nation's psyche, they also illuminate the path toward reinvention. Each cycle of crisis and recovery is a testament to humanity's unwavering determination to rise above challenges, learn from mistakes, and build a future defined by both ambition and prudence. Historical Echoes, then, is not merely a recollection of economic disasters. It is an inspiring chronicle of our capacity for reinvention, a call to embrace change, and an enduring reminder that within every upheaval lies the potential for a brighter, more resilient tomorrow. The paradox of abundance is a thought-provoking exploration of how the very elements we assume to drive our prosperity, prices, dreams, even our fears, can become distorted when they inflate beyond measure. Consider the paradox: when everything inflates, prices, dreams, and even fears, it is the balance between excess and absence that reveals true value. In a world where abundance seems limitless, we often find ourselves overwhelmed by an excess that paradoxically obscures the genuine worth of things. This overabundance creates a state where every element, be it a soaring price tag that no longer represents quality, a dream so magnified that its pursuit turns into a constant chase, or the swelling fear of uncertainty that paralyzes progress, loses its inherent meaning. Only when we examine the interplay between what is plentiful and what is missing do we begin to understand the true essence of value. Imagine an economy where prices rise so high that the true cost of living becomes detached from the benefits it once brought. In such a scenario, wealth is no longer measured simply by the number of zeros on a bank statement. Instead, true value emerges from the balance between what we can acquire and what we can afford to lose. This situation mirrors the way dreams can inflate in our imagination, turning aspirations into overwhelming, almost unattainable ideals. When dreams swell without any measure of restraint, they risk becoming mere fantasies, unreachable goals that, rather than inspiring us, leave us feeling adrift in a sea of perpetual longing. In that same manner, the inflation of our fears can distort our perception of risk and opportunity. The more we magnify potential threats, the less we appreciate the delicate equilibrium that allows for growth and resilience. The concept of abundance, then, is not intrinsically positive or negative, but becomes so only in relation to what is scarce. True value, in many respects, is defined by this contrast. For example, a resource that is abundant often loses its perceived worth precisely because it is so readily available. A simple glass of water in a desert holds far more value than the same in a metropolis with vast supplies at its disposal. Similarly, when prices inflate uncontrollably, the quality of goods and services might suffer because the intrinsic worth of a product is no longer the primary measure. Rather, it is the inflated numerical value that takes center stage. In our personal lives, if our dreams and aspirations are left unchecked by realistic boundaries, they too risk devaluation. An unbalanced accumulation of desires may lead us to pursue goals that are more reflective of societal pressure or fleeting trends, rather than of our genuine intrinsic passions. On the flip side, the absence or scarcity of certain elements can sharply highlight their importance. When we experience a void, whether in the form of limited resources, unfulfilled dreams, or a lack of motivation caused by overwhelming fear, we are reminded of what truly matters. It is in these moments of absence that we find clarity, a perspective that allows us to recalibrate our ambitions and reassess what we value most deeply. Scarcity forces us to prioritize, to invest our time and energy in endeavors that yield the highest returns in satisfaction and personal fulfillment. The paradox is that, while abundance can drown us in choices and obscure true worth, scarcity can refine our focus and direct us toward what is genuinely meaningful. This duality is vividly illustrated when we consider societal shifts during periods of economic change. History has shown us that during times of hyperinflation, when the value of currency plummets and daily transactions become a struggle, communities are compelled to innovate. They develop alternative systems of exchange and adopt measures that restore equilibrium. These responses are born not out of a deliberate desire for minimalism, but as a natural corrective mechanism. Through such adversity, societies come to appreciate the delicate balance that underpins a stable economy. The same applies to our inner lives. Periods of constraint, be it through loss, challenge, or a temporary withdrawal of excessive expectations, often force us to rediscover the true value of simplicity and the joy of modest, achievable goals. In our contemporary culture, the paradox of abundance is reflected in the digital age, where information, opinions, and even social validation are in hypersupply. Social media platforms inundate us with an endless stream of images, endorsements, and success stories. Yet, this overload can sometimes lead to feelings of inadequacy and a distorted sense of reality. When everything is available at our fingertips, the uniqueness of our experiences and aspirations may diminish, and we may struggle to distinguish our true worth from the curated highlight reels of others. In this milieu, the balance between excess and absence becomes crucial, reminding us that true fulfillment often lies not in accumulating more, but in discerning what is essential and cultivating it with care. Moreover, the interplay of excess and absence is not confined solely to material or emotional realms. It also resonates in the realm of creativity and intellectual pursuit. Exponential growth in technology, business, and cultural output has led to a saturation of ideas. Yet, amidst this overwhelming tide, the standout innovations are those that emerge from a keen awareness of what is missing. Breakthroughs in science and art often occur when we identify a void, a gap in knowledge, or an unmet need, and channel our creative energies into filling it. Here, the paradox of abundance transforms into a powerful engine for progress. By recognizing what is overabundant and what is lacking, we can strike a balance that yields novel solutions and redefines our understanding of success. Ultimately, the paradox of abundance teaches us that value is not an absolute measure, but a relative one, a dynamic interplay between presence and absence that gives shape to our experiences. It challenges us to question the relentless pursuit of more, to step back and assess whether our ever-increasing desire for abundance is leading us toward fulfillment or simply magnifying our fears and frustrations. In recognizing that true value arises from the equilibrium between excess and scarcity, we are encouraged to adopt a more mindful approach to both our ambitions and our concerns. This balanced perspective empowers us to discern the quality of what we seek, rather than be swept away by the flood of quantity. The balloon of perception is an evocative metaphor for our inner mental landscape, suggesting that our minds are much like delicate balloons, easily inflated by the subtle forces of cognitive biases and distortions, yet capable of expanding to reveal profound new vistas of insight. Our thoughts are not fixed or rigid. They are fluid and malleable, constantly shaped by experiences, emotions, and the myriad mental shortcuts that our brains employ to navigate an overwhelmingly complex world. In this expansive view, every bias, whether it is confirmation bias, anchoring, or the availability heuristic, acts as a gust of air that can inflate our mental balloon, sometimes leading it to swell beyond the bounds of objective reality. Imagine for a moment that you are holding a balloon that represents your perception of the world. As you receive new information, this balloon begins to inflate. Cognitive biases are like gentle, sometimes imperceptible pumps that add air to this balloon. At first, this process might seem beneficial. The additional air gives shape and substance to an otherwise empty vessel. It allows you to form opinions, make decisions, and create a coherent understanding of your surroundings. However, when these biases inflate your balloon too much, the picture can become distorted. Just as an overinflated balloon might bulge in unexpected places or appear misshapen, our perceptions can become warped, leading us to see patterns that aren't there, overestimate our abilities, or cling too stubbornly to preconceived notions. This inflation of perception is not inherently negative. In fact, within the expansion of our mental balloon lies the possibility for remarkable insight. When we become aware of how cognitive biases influence our thinking, we have the chance to deflate the balloon just enough to see the underlying reality more clearly. It is in the interplay between the expansion caused by bias and the controlled release of that pressure through critical reflection, open-mindedness, and self-awareness that true wisdom is born. The very forces that may lead to overconfidence or distorted views can, with deliberate effort, become the impetus for deeper understanding. Delving deeper, the process of recognizing and mitigating cognitive distortions is akin to learning how to regulate the air in our balloon. Without regulation, the balloon might burst, leaving us disoriented and overwhelmed by the sudden absence of structure. Similarly, if we allow our mental biases to run unchecked, we risk losing touch with objective truth, becoming captive to unfounded fears or unrealistic dreams. But if we develop the skill to monitor our thoughts, questioning, reflecting, and tempering our immediate emotional reactions, we can prevent the balloon from overinflating. This practice of mindful awareness is critical in transforming the potential pitfalls of cognitive bias into opportunities for enlightened perception. Consider the role of confirmation bias. For instance, it is the tendency to favor information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs and to ignore evidence that contradicts them. This bias can inflate our mental balloon in one particular direction, creating a skewed sense of reality. Yet, when we acknowledge this tendency, we can begin to deliberately seek out diverse perspectives and challenge our assumptions. In doing so, we allow our balloon to deflate slightly, not with the goal of diminishing our convictions, but with the intent of calibrating them. The controlled deflation, or conscious correction, makes room for a more balanced inflow of new, sometimes unexpected insights. Furthermore, the balloon metaphor also captures the dynamic nature of perception over time. Just as a balloon is subject to change, expanding with additional air, contracting as the air leaks out, or even morphing in shape under external pressures, so too is our perception ever-changing. Our minds are not static vessels, but dynamic systems that constantly react to a flood of sensory information, social influences, and internal deliberations. This constant flux is what allows us to adapt, to grow, and to ultimately reach profound realizations about ourselves and the world around us. Each cycle of inflation and deflation in our thinking can be seen as part of a natural rhythm, a cycle that, when balanced, leads to a more accurate and nuanced understanding of reality. This metaphor extends to illustrate how our perceptions can sometimes serve as creative incubators. When our minds are expansively inflated, they may venture into realms of creativity and abstract thinking that defy conventional boundaries. In these moments, the very distortions that might normally cloud judgment instead open the door to imaginative breakthroughs. Artistic expression, innovative problem-solving, and even scientific discovery often arise from the willingness to let one's mental balloon fill with unconventional ideas. Of course, this type of expansion must eventually be reconciled with reality, grounded through critical analysis and empirical evidence, to be transformed from wild creativity into applicable insight. Yet it is not only in the moments of wild, uncontrolled inflation that we find value. There is also a quiet potential in the delicate balance between excess and contraction, a reminder that the true measure of value is not in the maximal extension of our mental capacities, but in the harmony we achieve when balancing our internal influences. The paradox is that an overly inflated perception, while vibrant and full of possibility, can obscure the subtler truths that lie beneath the surface. In contrast, when we allow our minds to gently deflate, to let go of superfluous assumptions, and to shed the weight of bias, we gain a clearer view of the core principles that underpin our understanding of the world. The act of reassessment, of acknowledging that our mental balloon has been swayed by cognitive distortions, is in itself an act of intellectual humility. It is the recognition that our mind, with all its complexities and imperfections, is capable of both wonder and error. This humility is key to fostering an openness to learning and growth. In a sense, the balloon of perception invites us to constantly check its altitude, to measure its expansion against the backdrop of lived experience and critical reflection. By doing so, we ensure that our ideas remain flexible, adaptable, and, most importantly, true to the evolving nature of reality. Invisible Forces is a reflection on the unseen energies that shape our inner worlds, much like dark energy propelling cosmic inflation beyond the grasp of our direct perception. In the vast expanse of the universe, dark energy remains an elusive but powerful agent responsible for the accelerated expansion of space, a force that, though invisible, exerts a profound influence on the cosmos. Similarly, in the realm of the human psyche, there exist forces that, despite their intangibility, drive our behaviors, color our emotions, and sculpt our internal universe. These psychological undercurrents, operating largely beneath the level of conscious awareness, guide our impulses, decisions, and ultimately, the trajectory of our lives. Consider for a moment the nature of these hidden psychological forces, much like dark energy, which defies direct observation, yet reveals itself through the accelerating motion of galaxies. Our internal motivations and subconscious drives become apparent through the patterns they create in our lives. From the choices we make on a daily basis to the long-term goals we pursue, these forces, shaped by early experiences, cultural influences, and individual temperament, act as silent architects of our personal narrative. They are the quiet whispers in our minds that nudge us towards certain interests and away from others, often without our explicit awareness. This influence can manifest as an unaccounted-for affinity for creativity, a predisposition toward risk aversion, or even a persistent pattern of behavior that defines our relationships and careers. The power of these invisible forces lies in their capacity to operate autonomously, beyond the boundaries of our deliberate control. As we navigate life, our conscious mind may seem to be in command, yet it is frequently our subconscious that sets the stage, laying the groundwork for our perceptions and decisions. For instance, when faced with a challenging situation, one might believe that reason and logic dominate, but hidden biases and deep-seated emotions often color our interpretation of events, subtly shifting our judgment. This phenomenon underscores a paradox. While we value rational thought and deliberate decision-making, much of what propels us forward is not a product of calculated planning, but rather of instinctive, often unacknowledged responses. These responses, built over years of accumulated experiences, serve as the gravitational pull for our actions, much like how dark energy relentlessly pushes the fabric of space to expand. At the heart of these dynamics is a tension between conscious intent and subconscious influence, a tension that can lead to both profound insight and significant internal conflict. On one hand, the mysterious power of our inner drives can unlock creativity and innovation, inspiring us to explore new ideas and pursue dreams that seem to defy the limitations imposed by everyday logic. Just as cosmic inflation transformed a minuscule singularity into an expansive, ever-growing universe, so too can the right combination of internal energy, ignite revolutionary breakthroughs in personal growth, art, and science. Artists, writers, and inventors often report moments of sudden clarity where an invisible stream of inspiration floods their consciousness, providing them with novel solutions or vivid creative visions that seem to come from a source outside the confines of conventional thought. On the other hand, these invisible forces can sometimes lead us astray, imposing limitations that we may not even recognize until we face their consequences. Negative emotions, unresolved traumas, and unexamined prejudices can all act as distorting filters, warping our reality and compromising our ability to make clear-headed decisions. Like dark energy, which remains one of the most confounding mysteries in astrophysics, the influences that operate beneath our awareness are not always benign. They can propel us towards self-destructive patterns, entrench us in unhelpful beliefs, or create a persistent undercurrent of anxiety and fear that hinders our potential. Recognizing this duality is essential. The same force that fuels our creative expansion can also confine us, underscoring the importance of cultivating self-awareness and engaging in practices that help us examine and understand our inner landscape. Mindfulness and introspection emerge as crucial tools in this ongoing process of understanding invisible forces. By cultivating an attitude of curiosity and openness, we can begin to discern the subtle influences at work within our minds. Techniques such as meditation, journaling, or even thoughtful conversation can serve as a mirror, reflecting back the hidden motivations that govern our behavior. Through these practices, we are afforded the opportunity to challenge ingrained patterns, reframe negative narratives, and harness the positive potential of our subconscious energy. In doing so, we not only gain a clearer perspective on our inner workings, but also empower ourselves to redirect these forces toward more constructive and fulfilling ends. Furthermore, the awareness of these invisible forces invites us to consider the interplay between our individual experiences and the broader collective consciousness. Just as dark energy is a pervasive, unifying phenomenon in the cosmos, the psychological currents that shape us are often shared among communities, cultures, and even entire generations. Social norms, cultural narratives, and collective traumas all contribute to a shared internal universe that influences how we see ourselves and each other. This interconnectivity suggests that by understanding and addressing our internal forces on a personal level, we may also contribute to a more harmonious and empathetic society. When we make a conscious effort to examine our hidden biases and emotional drivers, we open the door to more genuine interactions, richer creative collaborations, and ultimately, a deeper sense of collective well-being. Invisible forces, therefore, encapsulate a profound truth about the human condition. The most significant elements of our existence are often those that remain unseen. They shape our destinies as silently and steadily as dark energy propels the cosmos, influencing everything from the direction of our thoughts to the unfolding of our lives. By acknowledging these forces, we not only embrace the complexity and mystery of our internal universe, but also equip ourselves with the insight needed to navigate it wisely. The journey towards self-awareness is ongoing, marked by moments of clarity and periods of introspection, each serving to illuminate the myriad ways in which these hidden energies contribute to who we are. Economic Reflections is a meditation on the cyclical nature of both our financial systems and our lives. In the ebb and flow of economic inflation, one finds a metaphor for life, periods of rapid increase that eventually settle into peaceful equilibrium. When we look at economic inflation, we observe dramatic surges where prices, values, and quantities rise swiftly in response to forces that can sometimes be unpredictable. These moments of swift expansion remind us of the high-energy bursts of creativity, ambition, and change that characterize significant episodes in our personal journeys. Just as inflation can quickly alter the landscape of an economy, driving both growth and uncertainty, our lives are punctuated by phases of intense activity, passion, and transformation. Imagine a time when an economy experiences a rapid spike in inflation. Initially, the dramatic increase in prices can evoke feelings of disorientation and urgency. In a similar way, in our lives, there are moments when opportunities or emotions surge, overwhelming us with their intensity. These moments are marked by a departure from the familiar. Old certainties give way to a dynamic, if chaotic, reconfiguration of our goals and dreams. However, as with economic inflation, these periods of rapid change are often followed by an inevitable settling, a period of equilibrium where the frantic pace slows, allowing for reflection and renewed balance. During the inflationary phase of an economy, the rapid growth is not inherently problematic. It signals that new energy is being infused into the market, sparking innovation and investment. In our personal lives, periods of rapid emotional or intellectual expansion serve a similar function. They compel us to expand our horizons, to take risks, and to embrace new experiences. These surges of energy can be exhilarating. They encourage us to invest wholeheartedly in our ambitions and to leverage the momentum of sudden change, much like an investor capitalizes on a booming market. The excitement of these moments often drives our most creative and courageous actions, propelling us toward achievements that we might never have pursued during more placid times. Yet, just as unchecked inflation can eventually lead to instability, so too can the unbridled surge of life's passions create imbalance. Economic inflation, if allowed to run rampant, can devalue currency and erode trust in an established system. In a parallel sense, when our emotions or ambitions expand without restraint, the intensity can lead to burnout, disillusionment, or even a loss of direction. This phenomenon reminds us that every period of growth is accompanied by the need for eventual stabilization. The economy must eventually find its balance to restore confidence and sustain long-term prosperity. Similarly, we must learn to temper our surges of energy with moments of introspection and calm. This process of stabilization is both natural and necessary. In economic terms, after a period of high inflation, measures are typically taken to bring prices back under control. Fiscal policies are adjusted, market corrections occur, and a new equilibrium is reached. On a personal level, after moments of intense growth or change, we often find ourselves entering a quieter phase. This period of equilibrium offers us the opportunity to consolidate our gains, reflect on the lessons learned, and recalibrate our aspirations. It is during these quieter moments that our true strength is revealed. The ability to integrate the experiences of our high-energy phases into a more sustainable, balanced way of living. Moreover, the metaphor of economic inflation invites us to consider the delicate interplay between external forces and our internal states. In an economy, inflation is driven by a complex array of factors such as supply and demand, government policies, and market sentiments. In our lives too, the surges we experience are rarely the product of a single cause. They are the result of an intricate confluence of our ambitions, our social environment, and the unpredictable twists of fate. Understanding this interplay helps us recognize that while we cannot always control the forces that lead to sudden change, we can influence how we respond to them. Just as a well-regulated economy is one that adapts to external pressures while maintaining internal stability, a fulfilling life is one that embraces both the thrill of rapid growth and the wisdom of measured calm. The ebb and flow reflected in economic inflation also reminds us of the cyclical nature of progress. Every high point in an inflationary period is eventually balanced by a downturn, a correction that, while sometimes painful, ultimately serves to prevent systemic collapse and pave the way for future growth. Similarly, the peaks in our lives are invariably followed by periods of introspection and recovery. It is through this continuous cycle of expansion and contraction that we learn resilience. The rapid phases teach us the power of possibility and ambition, while the quieter periods offer space for reflection and healing. Each cycle, with its inherent tensions and harmonies, contributes to our overall growth and prepares us for the challenges and triumphs that lie ahead. In reflecting on these parallels, economic reflections becomes more than a simple comparison between market trends and personal development. It becomes a lens through which we can view our own journeys. It invites us to appreciate that the periods of rapid change and intense activity are not aberrations to be feared, but essential phases in our evolution. They are moments when life, like an inflating economy, becomes charged with potential. And as we move through these phases, we are called to adopt a mindset that is both receptive to the energy of expansion and mindful of the need for eventual equilibrium. Cognitive Wonders is a celebration of the extraordinary capacity of our minds to transform even the slightest stimulus into a flourishing constellation of ideas. Our brains operate as remarkable inflators of thought, where a single spark, an offhand remark, an unexpected observation, or a fleeting memory can mushroom into a vast cosmos of interconnected insights. Within the intricate networks of neurons and synapses, these tiny impulses are amplified and reshaped, gathering meaning and complexity as they travel along the pathways of our consciousness, ultimately holding the power to illuminate our understanding of the world. Imagine an artist standing before a blank canvas, where one subtle idea is akin to a single drop of paint that, when mingled with countless other impressions and emotions, evolves into a vibrant masterpiece. Similarly, within the recesses of our minds, each thought carries the potential to expand exponentially. This expansion is not haphazard. It is guided by our experiences, emotions, and knowledge, a process that resembles the cosmic inflation witnessed in the birth of our universe. Just as a minuscule seed gave rise to galaxies and nebulas through rapid exponential growth, so too does a modest notion expand into a rich tapestry of creative insights, each contributing to the narrative of who we are. The magic lies in the interplay between conscious deliberation and subconscious revelation. In moments of quiet reflection or sudden inspiration, our minds often make unexpected associations, a connection between disparate ideas that, upon closer examination, reveals new patterns and hidden meanings. This dynamic process, where ideas weave together to form complex networks, is at the heart of creative problem-solving and innovation. It is the reason why a simple observation during an everyday walk can eventually lead to groundbreaking discoveries or artistic breakthroughs, as the spark of an idea, nurtured by a lifetime of experiences, transforms into a beacon of insight. Cognitive wonders also remind us of the inherent plasticity of our minds. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life, ensures that every thought, every new piece of information, has the potential to reshape our mental landscape. This process of constant reorganization is what enables us to learn, adapt, and innovate. The very act of engaging with new ideas fuels this transformation, gradually enhancing our capacity to see the world from fresh perspectives. In this way, our cognitive processes are not static but ever evolving, mirroring the boundless, shifting nature of the universe itself. Moreover, the beauty of our mind's creative expanse is that it is inclusive and multifaceted. The dialogue between analytical reasoning and imaginative exploration creates a fertile ground for innovation. On one hand, logical thought processes help us dissect and understand the mechanics of a problem. On the other, the unbridled flourish of creative intuition opens avenues for breakthroughs that pure analysis might overlook. This synergy is the engine behind scientific discoveries, artistic endeavors, and even everyday problem-solving. It is a testament to the versatility of our cognitive machinery, capable of nurturing both the rigor of technical expertise and the spontaneity of visionary ideas. Yet, amid this whirlwind of mental activity, there is also an element of balance that preserves clarity and focus. Just as an overinflated balloon risks bursting under too much pressure, our minds require moments of quiet recalibration to integrate and distill the plethora of ideas into coherent, actionable insights. Techniques such as mindfulness, meditation, or even a simple walk in nature can provide this necessary space, allowing our cognitive processes to settle into a state of equilibrium. In these reflective periods, the seemingly chaotic burst of ideas is harmonized, enabling us to discern those thoughts that truly resonate and possess the potential to enlighten our paths forward. The process of idea inflation is not solely a personal journey. It has profound implications for society as a whole. When individuals harness the power of their cognitive wonders, they contribute to a collective reservoir of knowledge and creativity that drives cultural, technological, and social evolution. Every innovation, from the printing press to the digital revolution, has its roots in a moment where a single idea, nurtured and expanded upon, transformed the fabric of human existence. In this light, our minds become not just private realms of thought, but dynamic engines of progress that propel our communities toward greater heights of understanding and achievement. Furthermore, the notion that our brains are wondrous inflators of ideas invites us to embrace our innate potential rather than shy away from uncertainty. The chaotic, unpredictable nature of thought generation is part of what makes each of us unique. It encourages us to value diversity in perspective, knowing that every individual's mental landscape is colored by a distinct blend of experiences, emotions, and aspirations. Such diversity is vital for fostering environments where innovation can thrive, where new ideas collide, evolve, and coalesce into solutions that address the complex challenges of our time. In celebrating these cognitive wonders, we honor not only the marvels of individual creativity, but also the collective wisdom that emerges when diverse minds come together. In essence, cognitive wonders remind us that every idea, no matter how small, carries the latent power to spark monumental change. The interplay between the tiniest neural impulse and the grand, unfolding cosmos of thought is a process of continual wonder, a dynamic dance that fuels every aspect of human endeavor. It is a reminder that innovation is not born of rigid structure alone, but from the vibrant, fluid exchange of ideas that defy the confines of conventional thought. By nurturing this process, we unlock the door to endless possibilities, where each creative breakthrough is a step toward a future illuminated by the light of discovery. Balancing extremes is a profound meditation on the nature of contrast in both the cosmos and our inner lives, a reminder that just as the universe tempers its violent inflation with the gentle pull of gravitation, our most intense experiences are ultimately countered by moments of serene clarity. In the vast expanse of space, the earliest moments of cosmic inflation witnessed an explosive, almost chaotic expansion that set the stage for the creation of galaxies and stars. Yet this violent burst of energy is held in check by the pervasive, soothing influence of gravity, which gathers matter into stars, planets, and the orbits that define our solar system. In much the same way, the highs and lows of our human experience find balance. The passion, ambition, and sometimes overwhelming emotions we encounter are offset by periods of reflection, calm, and gentle understanding. Imagine the exhilaration of a peak moment in life, when every fiber of your being is ignited by a surge of emotion. Whether that's the ecstatic rush of a creative breakthrough, the intensity of falling deeply in love, or the passionate drive to pursue a long-held dream. In these moments, our inner world seems to expand with energy and possibility, mirroring the universe's own explosive growth. Yet, the beauty of life lies in the inevitable return to equilibrium. Just as gravity works silently and steadily to hold the cosmos together, our moments of serene clarity come in the quiet aftermath of intensity, a pause that allows us to absorb, reflect, and integrate our experiences. This gentle counterbalance is essential. Without it, we risk being swept away by our own fervor, unable to harness the lessons of our most powerful emotions. The interplay between extremes is not merely a fleeting dance of opposites, but a dynamic process that nurtures growth. During times of intense challenge or overwhelming success, our minds and bodies are pushed to their limits, prompting shifts that lead to personal evolution. Much like the cosmic tension between inflation and gravitation results in the formation of complex structures, stars, solar systems, entire galaxies, we too, through our experiences, build the intricate inner architectures of wisdom, resilience, and empathy. The period of calm following a storm of emotion offers a vital space for us to reassess our priorities, reevaluate our goals, and find new pathways forward. It is in that tranquil space, free from the relentless momentum of our impulses, that clarity emerges, and we discover the deeper meanings embedded within our experiences. In our everyday lives, this balance can be observed in the smallest of moments: a quiet afternoon with a beloved book, a reflective walk in nature, or a deep conversation with a trusted friend. These periods of quiet not only serve as a counterweight to our high-energy pursuits, but also as fertile ground for creative insight and renewed perspective. When we allow ourselves the time to slow down and reconnect with the more subtle rhythms of our existence, our perceptions sharpen, and we become more aware of the nuances that define our reality. It is as though the universe is whispering a reminder that in the contrast between the storm and the stillness, the true beauty of existence is revealed. The concept of balancing extremes also invites us to reconsider how we approach challenges and setbacks. In the throes of adversity, it can be easy to become consumed by the intensity of our struggles. Yet these experiences, as tumultuous as they may be, are often the catalysts for subsequent serenity and insight. The discomfort of a difficult period gradually gives way to understanding and acceptance, much like the chaotic initial burst of energy in the universe eventually settles into harmonious orbits. When we face our difficulties head-on and then allow ourselves the space to rest and recover, we tap into an inner reservoir of strength that not only helps us endure, but ultimately transforms those challenges into stepping stones toward a more balanced life. Moreover, this balance between extremes is a dynamic process, one that demands continual attention and care. Just as the cosmos is never static, but in a perpetual state of flux, our own emotional and mental states require regular recalibration. Life is a series of cycles. The exuberance of one phase inevitably gives way to the reflective stillness of another. By cultivating mindfulness and remaining present in each moment, we learn to navigate the shifting tides of emotion with grace. We become more adept at recognizing when our thoughts are spiraling out of control, or when we are too entrenched in calm, and we make conscious choices to restore equilibrium. This ongoing practice not only enriches our inner lives, but also equips us to handle the inevitable ups and downs with a sense of balance and poise. The metaphor of balancing extremes further extends to our relationships and the ways we interact with the world around us. In our connections with others, we often encounter a similar interplay of energy, moments of exhilarating intimacy, and periods of quiet solitude that allow for individual growth. These relationships thrive not when they are in a constant state of high drama or perpetual calm, but when there exists a respectful balance that honors both passion and peace. When we learn to appreciate and embrace the full spectrum of our emotions, we also become more compassionate and understanding towards others. We recognize that everyone is subject to these cycles, and that vulnerability and intensity are as natural as moments of calm and clarity. Ultimately, balancing extremes is a testament to the resilience of both the universe and the human spirit. It teaches us that the most profound insights and deep-seated transformations often arise from the interplay between seemingly opposing forces. The violent bursts of energy and emotion, when tempered by the gentle pull of reflection and stillness, give rise to a life rich with depth, complexity, and beauty. It is in this delicate equilibrium between high-intensity moments and periods of quiet introspection that we find not only harmony, but also the essential ingredients for personal and collective growth. Fragmented Realities is an invitation to see the world not as a continuous, uniform whole, but as a mosaic of countless discrete moments and influences. Each burst, whether it be an economic spike or a fleeting emotion, serving as a reminder that our reality is built from fragments that echo our innermost truths. When we speak of inflation in an economic context, we often think of soaring prices and rapid changes in market value. Yet these dramatic fluctuations are not random. They are reflective of underlying forces, unexpected imbalances, and sudden shifts that tear at the fabric of our everyday experience. In much the same way, our emotions and thoughts surge in waves, intense but momentary, transient yet deeply telling, revealing that the essence of who we are lies scattered across these varied fragments. Consider an economy where a burst of inflation disrupts the steady flow of prices. As costs skyrocket, the smooth surface of routine transactions is shattered into sharp, unpredictable spikes. Each spike is like a fragment of a shattered mirror, refracting economic realities into disjointed pieces that force us to confront the inherent instability of growth and value. This economic turbulence serves as a metaphor for life itself. Despite the appearance of continuity, our existence is a series of abrupt changes, moments of intense possibility, followed by sudden corrections. Just as an investor must learn to navigate these turbulent periods, we too must face the fact that every emotional peak or crisis, no matter how disruptive, holds a fragment of truth about our condition, truths about desire, fear, aspiration, and regret. In our inner lives, these bursts of emotion can seem as overwhelming as a market crash. A fleeting burst of joy or a sudden wave of sorrow fragments our experience of time, leaving us with snapshots of feeling that defy a smooth narrative. Each moment becomes a discrete piece, a tiny, vivid segment of our story that, when pieced together with others, creates a complex portrait of our being. These moments are not isolated errors in judgment or instances of irrationality. They are, in fact, the raw materials of our identity. They reveal the impulses, biases, and dreams we might otherwise try to mask, reminding us that every emotional outpouring is as valid and significant as an economic spike that redraws the value of currency. The beauty of fragmented realities lies in how these pieces, though at times seemingly discordant, eventually form a coherent tapestry when viewed from a broader perspective. Our minds, much like a cosmic collage, collect these splinters, both the soaring highs and the crushing lows, and integrate them into a dynamic whole. Just as economists and historians learn to interpret the significance of inflationary periods by understanding their causes and consequences, we can learn to find meaning in our emotional fluctuations. Every burst, every ephemeral state of mind is imbued with lessons. They echo the internal truths that define our preferences, guide our moral compasses, and color our aspirations. In understanding these fragments, we embrace a fuller, richer sense of self, one that acknowledges the interplay between impermanence and continuity. Moreover, fragmented realities extend beyond the personal and into the collective. Societies, too, are built upon the interplay of diverse moments, periods of rapid change, revolution, and reform, juxtaposed against eras of stability and tradition. Economic inflation, for instance, not only redefines individual financial worth, but also reshapes cultural narratives and political identities. The shock of hyperinflation in one country can serve as a poignant fragment in the global story of human resilience and innovation. Each nation's experience contributes its own color and texture to the larger portrait of humanity, much as each individual's fleeting emotion contributes to the universal mosaic of experience. In this way, our fragmented realities become both a mirror and a map, reflecting personal inner truths and guiding us toward a collective understanding of what it means to be human. In acknowledging that reality is composed of these innumerable fragments, we are also reminded of the inherent beauty in imperfection. A perfectly smooth surface hides depth and complexity, while the fractured reflections of a broken mirror invite us to explore different angles and perspectives. Our lives, with all their broken pieces and unexpected bursts of energy, ultimately reveal a truth that is more nuanced and multidimensional than any singular, continuous narrative might allow. Each fragment is a testimony to our capacity for growth, adaptation, and transformation. They challenge us to reconcile opposites, to accept that joy and despair, success and failure, clarity and confusion are not mutually exclusive, but are interwoven strands in the fabric of our existence. This perspective offers a liberating message that in both the economic realm and our inner lives, the sporadic surges of intensity are not signs of disorder, but rather signals of transformation. By paying attention to these fragments, we gain insight into our most authentic selves. We begin to see that every burst of inflation, be it in the rise of market prices or the swift passage of a powerful feeling, is a momentary glimpse into a deeper reality, a transient echo of the forces that shape both the outer world and our inner universe. Ultimately, Fragmented Realities is a call to embrace the scattered, multifaceted nature of our lives. It invites us to step away from the illusion of a smooth, uninterrupted flow, and instead celebrate the diverse moments that construct our lived experience. In doing so, we come to appreciate that the true essence of our existence is not found in the grand, sweeping narratives, but in the quiet, persistent resonance of countless smaller moments, each one echoing a truth that collectively defines who we are. Whether we witness these fragments in the erratic pulses of an economic spike or the delicate flutter of an emotion, we are reminded that reality, with all its complexity and wonder, is a delicate balance of innumerable pieces waiting to be understood, cherished, and ultimately integrated into a richer, more authentic sense of self. Mysteries Unfold is the eternal dance of revelation and enigma, where the very fabric of our existence expands and contracts, much like the cosmos itself, allowing secrets to surface like whispers carried on the night wind. In the same way that a brief, explosive moment of cosmic inflation stretched space into uncharted realms, our lives too are punctuated by bursts of insight, moments when hidden truths shimmer into view and invite us to peer more deeply into the nature of reality. These moments are at once delicate and profound, offering us fleeting glimpses into the vast and intricate mystery that lies at the heart of being. Imagine the early universe, a singular point bursting forth with an almost unimaginable energy that rapidly expanded into stars, galaxies, and the very canvas upon which all existence is painted. This ancient act of expansion was not a gentle unfolding, but a wild, exuberant outpouring, a dramatic flourish that redefined what was possible. In our inner worlds, similar explosions of thought, emotion, and understandings occur. A single spark, a sudden idea, a moving experience, or an unexpected encounter can ignite a cascade of reflections and realizations. As our inner space inflates, so does our capacity to question, to wonder, and to appreciate the depth of mysteries that govern our lives. These unfolding mysteries are not always clear or easy to grasp, much like the cosmic phenomena that scientists strive to understand. The hidden layers of our existence are multifaceted and often elusive. They reside in the spaces between our conscious thoughts, lurking behind the everyday routine of our lives, and yet it is in the interplay between the seen and the unseen that true wisdom is born. When we allow ourselves to embrace uncertainty, to welcome the unknown, our minds open up to possibilities that rigid logic might otherwise dismiss. In this dynamic interplay, every challenge becomes an invitation to explore, every fleeting emotion a signpost pointing towards uncharted inner territories. One may encounter these mysteries in moments of quiet solitude or in the chaotic clamor of everyday life. Perhaps it is in a silent walk at dawn, when the world is still and the vast sky gently lightens, that one might feel an inexplicable sense of expansion, a connection to something larger than oneself. Or maybe it occurs during times of crisis or intense creativity, when emotions surge so powerfully that they shake the foundations of our well-trodden beliefs. In either case, the experience is transformative, a reminder that our understanding of the world is never complete, but always in the process of evolution, much like the universe that continues to unfold around us. There is a beauty in the gradual, almost imperceptible manner in which these mysteries reveal themselves. Over time, as we reflect on our experiences and allow our thoughts to settle like dust in a sunbeam, a clearer picture begins to emerge. It is a picture composed of many fragments, a collage of insights, questions, and wonderments that, when combined, offer a deeper, more nuanced understanding of life. Each burst of insight, however transient, adds to the mosaic of our inner landscape, enriching our perception and challenging us to see beyond the immediate, the obvious, and the fleeting. Yet, the process of mysteries unfolding is not without its challenges. In the moments when our minds are flooded with revelations, there is often a sense of disorientation, a vertigo of realizing just how vast and intricate the unknown truly is. This can be unsettling, even overwhelming, as we come face to face with the limits of our knowledge and the vastness of what remains unexplored. And it is in these moments of uncertainty that the true value of humility and curiosity is revealed. Recognizing that each answer only leads to further questions, we are reminded that our journey towards understanding is an endless spiral, a beautiful, perpetual quest marked by both wonder and a healthy dose of uncertainty. In this continual process, we learn that every experience, be it a rapid burst of creativity, a sudden emotional upheaval, or even an economic spike in the external world, is a microcosm of the larger mysteries that define our existence. Just as the early universe set in motion the processes that would eventually give birth to the stars and the galaxies, so too do our personal moments of inflation and expansion have the power to reshape our inner universe. They challenge us to rethink what we know, to question the status quo, and to embrace the unknown with courage and openness. This dialogue between revelation and mystery extends beyond our individual lives and into the collective experience of humanity. Our shared stories, cultural narratives, and even the scientific endeavors that seek to explain the cosmos all attest to a universal truth, that the unfolding of mysteries is the pulse of progress. Each discovery, whether monumental or minute, enriches our collective understanding, weaving together the disparate threads of human experience into a tapestry that is as awe-inspiring as it is complex. Ultimately, Mysteries Unfold is a celebration of the unfolding narrative of existence, a recognition that life, in all its splendor and ambiguity, is a series of ever-expanding chapters. It invites us to view each fleeting moment, each surge of emotion or burst of insight, not as a mere anomaly, but as a vital piece in the grand puzzle of our being. Just as the cosmic night sky is filled with stars that each tell a story of distant creation, our inner worlds are dotted with moments of clarity that illuminate the path toward deeper understanding. In embracing the unknown, we honor the inherent beauty of our mystery, and in doing so, we open ourselves to a universe of infinite possibility, a universe where every whisper of truth, every subtle echo of the unspoken, guides us toward the light of enlightenment. The art of expansion is a celebration of how creativity, in all its vibrant forms, mirrors the dynamic process of inflation. Each note and brushstroke inflates meaning, turning everyday moments into epic sagas of human experience. In art and music, we witness a remarkable transformation. Simple elements, tones, colors, shapes, gather momentum, swell with emotion, and evolve into expressions that transcend their modest beginnings. Just as inflation in an economic context expands the value of a currency, so too does the creative spirit amplify the significance of our most ordinary instants, weaving them into narratives that resonate with deep, universal truths. Imagine a painter standing before a blank canvas, the empty surface representing untapped potential. With every stroke of the brush, the artist breathes life into the canvas. A subtle wash of color gradually transforms into intricate forms, each layer building upon the last, distorting and expanding reality until the painting reflects not just a scene, but a visceral, emotional landscape. It is as if each brushstroke acts like a pulse of creative energy, inflating the meaning contained within the frame. The initial spark of inspiration may be small, a memory, a fleeting emotion, or an abstract idea, but when nurtured by technique, intuition, and passion, it swells into a complex dialogue of light, texture, and color that invites the viewer into a world both familiar and transcendent. Similarly, in the realm of music, each note, rhythm, and harmony contributes to a symphony that grows far beyond the sum of its parts. A single melody can start as a solitary sound, almost imperceptible, yet as it is repeated, varied, and layered with complementary chords, it takes on an expansive quality. The music becomes a living narrative, one in which the ups and downs of sound mirror the emotional cadence of our lives. A crescendo might swell like a tidal wave of feeling, while a brief interlude offers a moment of introspection and calm. Much like inflation, where a modest increase compounds over time to redefine value, the iterative build of a musical composition elevates simple notes into an epic saga that can evoke joy, melancholy, hope, and a multitude of other sentiments, all in a single auditory journey. This analogy between artistic expression and inflation is deeply symbolic. In an economy, inflation can sometimes be seen as a force that both enriches and destabilizes, reshaping the landscape of wealth and consumption. In the realm of art, however, this process is reimagined as a creative expansion, a force that enriches our lives by transforming the mundane into something extraordinary. When our daily experiences are viewed through the lens of art, every detail gains significance. The gentle rustle of leaves in a quiet park, a stray beam of light streaming through a window, or the rhythmic tapping of raindrops against the pavement can each become the seed for profound reflection and inspiration. In this way, the inflation of our perceptions magnifies the beauty and depth of life, reminding us that meaning is not inherently fixed, but grows and blossoms in the interplay between our inner visions and the world around us. Moreover, the art of expansion speaks to our ability to harness creativity as a means of personal transformation. Every work of art and every piece of music invites us to explore different dimensions of our identity. They allow us to reinterpret our own experiences, to see the familiar in a new light, and to extract lessons from the seemingly trivial. An artist, through the deliberate manipulation of form and color, or a musician, through the thoughtful arrangement of sounds, can challenge the boundaries of conventional thought and push us toward a greater understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos. This metamorphosis is not unlike the way financial markets sometimes reflect shifts in societal values. Both are dynamic systems where incremental changes can lead to revolutionary outcomes. It is also worth noting how the creative process itself is a journey of expansion, a constant evolution that mirrors the ebb and flow of inspiration. Artists and musicians often describe the moment of creation as an experience of losing themselves in an expansive sea of ideas, where boundaries dissolve and every fragment of thought has the potential to contribute to a larger whole. This sense of boundlessness is both exhilarating and humbling. It underscores the realization that our capacity for innovation is limitless. Just as the cosmos continues to stretch and unfurl in its infinite expanse, our creative expressions are perpetually in motion, ever growing, and continuously redefining what is possible. In these moments, we learn to trust the process of expansion, accepting that the initial spark is merely the beginning of a journey that will eventually lead to something far grander than we could have imagined. The interplay between rapid growth and reflective pause is central to understanding the art of expansion. In both art and life, there comes a time to slow down, to step back, and appreciate the complexity that has been built over time. In the wake of an explosive creative surge, moments of introspection allow for the synthesis of ideas. These pauses provide space for contemplation, where the inflated elements of creativity are refined and given clearer purpose. It is this balance, the dynamic tension between exuberant expansion and deliberate contraction, that ultimately produces works of art resonant with meaning. Just as a period of economic inflation may eventually stabilize into a more sustainable state, the creative explosion is tempered by thoughtful reflection, resulting in a masterpiece that is as intellectually profound as it is emotionally compelling. Growth Beyond Limits is a call to liberate your mind from the confines of fear and convention, inviting you to let your thoughts expand into realms of untold possibility. When we speak of growth beyond limits, we envision a state where the boundaries that once defined our thinking dissolve, giving way to a dynamic, ever-expanding universe of ideas. This concept is not merely about incremental improvement. It is an invitation to revolutionize the way we perceive ourselves, our challenges, and the world around us. In a landscape where fear often casts long shadows and entrenched norms shape our every move, the true power of creativity lies in our ability to imagine, to dream, and to act beyond what has always been. Allow your thoughts to inflate beyond the boundaries of fear and convention, expanding into a universe where every idea holds the promise of revolution. Just as cosmic inflation transformed a minute singularity into an expansive, unfathomable cosmos, so can our minds burst forth with transformative potential when we shed the limitations imposed upon us. Each thought, each spark of inspiration, starts as a small ember capable of igniting vast changes. When we give ourselves permission to explore unconventional paths and nurture even the most audacious ideas, we create an internal space where vulnerability and boldness coexist. This process of letting our ideas swell is not reckless. It is a deliberate act of breaking free from the constraints that bind us, an act of self-affirmation that every notion has the capacity to alter the course of our lives, if only we dare to dream big. At the heart of this expansive journey lies the confrontation with fear. Fear acts as a natural force that protects us from danger, but it can also act as a barrier to innovation and growth. Many of us have been conditioned to adhere to established norms, to follow well-worn paths because they provide comfort and a semblance of order. Yet it is within the bold, often chaotic realm of unconventional ideas that true breakthroughs occur. When fear is allowed to dominate, our creative potential is stifled, and the world of possibility remains hidden behind an impenetrable wall of what if. To grow beyond limits, we must not only recognize these inhibiting forces, but also actively choose to step outside of their shadows. In doing so, we transform fear from an obstacle into a powerful motivator, one that pushes us to question, experiment, and ultimately transcend the boundaries that constrain us. The revolution of our inner universe is powered by ideas that challenge the status quo. Every transformative innovation or groundbreaking work of art began as an idea that defied conventional wisdom. When we allow our thoughts to soar without self-imposed limits, we tap into the same revolutionary energy that has spurred human progress throughout history. Consider the great thinkers, artists, and inventors who reshaped their worlds, by daring to envision the impossible. Their contributions were not mere extensions of existing ideas, but radical departures that reimagined what was achievable. In the same way, each of our thoughts, no matter how seemingly insignificant at first, carries within it the potential to spark revolutions in our understanding and the world we inhabit. This is the essence of growth beyond limits, an open invitation to explore the uncharted territories of our imagination, where every idea is not only a possibility but a promise of transformation. This expansive mindset requires us to cultivate environments, both internally and externally, that foster creative risk-taking and innovation. It invites us to set aside the rigid structures that govern our everyday behavior and make space for spontaneity, curiosity, and experimentation. Whether in the realm of art, science, or personal development, growth beyond limits thrives in the fertile ground of an open mind. It is in moments of deep reflection, unbound creative expression, or even in the quiet solitude of a challenging circumstance that we often find the seeds of revolutionary ideas taking root. By nurturing these moments and believing in their transformative power, we develop the resilience to overcome setbacks and the clarity to pursue our most profound aspirations. Moreover, growth beyond limits is not solely an individual pursuit. It is a collective endeavor that has the power to reshape communities and, ultimately, entire societies. When we embrace the possibility that each idea holds the promise of revolution, we begin to see ourselves as active participants in a global tapestry of innovation and progress. Social movements, technological advancements, and cultural shifts all emerge from the crucible of collective imagination, fueled by a willingness to break free from tradition. In this shared journey, every person's capacity to think expansively contributes to a broader, more dynamic narrative of human evolution. The exchange of ideas, the challenge of established norms, and the collaborative spirit of creative communities underscore the interconnected nature of our growth. By supporting one another in our pursuit of the revolutionary, we build a future rich in diversity, ingenuity, and hope. In embracing a life of limitless growth, we learn that the process of expansion is as important as the outcomes it produces. It is in the journey, the series of small, courageous steps taken every day, that we gather the experiences, lessons, and insights that fortify our resolve to innovate and transform. Each moment of uncertainty becomes a stepping stone toward greater understanding, and every challenge met with creative determination strengthens our commitment to transcend the ordinary. The art of living, much like art itself, is about capturing these fleeting moments of brilliance, nurturing them, and watching as they evolve into something far greater than the sum of their parts. In doing so, we affirm that our capacity to grow, to reinvent ourselves, and to revolutionize our world is boundless, a perpetual process that unfolds with each thought we dare to set free. Ultimately, growth beyond limits is a testament to the power of an unrestricted mind, a reminder that when we allow our thoughts to expand beyond the barriers of fear and convention, we unlock the infinite potential within us. It is an invitation to view each idea as a seed of revolution, capable of challenging norms, reshaping paradigms, and ushering in a future defined by limitless possibility. As you step into this vast universe of thought, may you embrace the audacity to dream, to innovate, and to live in a state of continual expansion. For in this boundless space, where every idea holds the promise of profound transformation, you will find not just the key to personal revolution, but the spark that ignites change in the world at large. The infinite cycle is the perpetual dance of creation and renewal, a journey through phases of explosive growth, introspective reflection, and eventual serene equilibrium that mirrors both the cosmic ballet and the rhythms of our inner lives. As we traverse this cycle, we witness moments of crazy inflation, periods when ideas, emotions, and experiences surge with an intensity that seems to defy containment, only to give way to quieter interludes where stability and clarity gently resettle into place. In much the same way that the universe underwent a dramatic expansion in its earliest moments, an exuberant burst of energy that sent galaxies hurtling into existence, our inner landscapes are periodically inflated with the passion of new insights, the fervor of unbridled creativity, and sometimes even the whirlwind of uncertainty. Imagine the early cosmos, a singularity that erupted into an expanding universe. In that primordial instant, chaos reigned as space itself ballooned outward, setting in motion the formation of stars, planets, and the cosmic web that would eventually cradle life. This intense, almost overwhelming process of cosmic inflation is a powerful reminder that great beginnings are often marked by rapid and transformative change. Similarly, in our personal journeys, we experience flashes of inspiration and moments of profound growth, bursts of emotion and ideas that swell within us, pushing the boundaries of what we once thought possible. Whether it's the spark of a revolutionary idea, a creative breakthrough, or an emotional upheaval that reshapes our perspective, these instances of inflation in our lives propel us forward, expanding our horizons in ways that are as unpredictable as they are exhilarating. Yet, just as the universe did not remain in a state of relentless expansion, our inner worlds do not sustain perpetual turmoil. There comes a time when the intense energy of growth must yield to a period of reflection, a moment to consolidate, understand, and transform the raw power of those initial surges into enduring wisdom. This is the second phase of the cycle, reflection. In this quieter interlude, the frenetic pace of change subsides, making space for introspection and the gradual integration of our experiences. It is during these calm moments that we have the opportunity to decipher the lessons hidden in the fragments of our emotional and intellectual outbursts. Just as gravity eventually tames the vastness of an inflated cosmos, drawing the scattered matter into cohesive structures, our reflective phase provides the gravitational pull that organizes our scattered thoughts and feelings into a coherent narrative. As we settle into this phase of serene renewal, the transformative power of the cycle becomes evident. The process of introspection not only allows us to absorb the magnitude of our previous experiences, but also readies us for the next phase of growth. This rejuvenation is both restorative and inspiring, a gentle return to equilibrium that recasts past chaos into stable foundations for future exploration. In this state of calm, we find clarity, a quiet understanding that every burst of inflation, every moment of high intensity, is not an end in itself, but a precursor to a deeper, more sustainable form of growth. By embracing the stillness that follows an explosive expansion, we are invited to reorient our priorities, recalibrate our goals, and prepare our minds for new challenges and opportunities. This infinite cycle of expansion, reflection, and renewal is not confined solely to the realm of personal experience. It is a universal principle evident in the natural world and the fabric of the cosmos. In nature, the seasons embody a similar rhythm. Spring bursts forth with life and energy. Summer radiates warmth and abundance. Autumn reflects with vibrant transformation. And winter rests in quiet introspection before the cycle begins anew. Each season, with its distinct character, contributes to the ongoing tapestry of life, a tapestry that is continually woven from episodes of fervent growth and restorative pause. In the human spirit, this cycle manifests as our endless capacity to rise, to learn, and to reinvent ourselves in the face of adversity. Moreover, acknowledging the infinite cycle inspires us to appreciate that no phase, no matter how intense or how serene, is permanent. Change is the constant rhythm that underpins our existence, and within this dynamism lies the beauty of impermanence. By accepting that every moment of explosive creation is destined to be followed by a period of calm, we learn to cherish both the energetic bursts that propel us forward and the reflective intervals that give us the strength to move on. This understanding fosters resilience, enabling us to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and a deep sense of purpose. In the end, the infinite cycle serves as both a metaphor and a guide, a reminder that our journeys, like the unfolding universe, are marked by phases of wild expansion and gentle restoration. As we embrace the inevitable transitions from intense growth to reflective calm, we not only honor the transient nature of our experiences, but also tap into the enduring promise of renewal. Every moment becomes part of an endless narrative of evolution, a testament to our capacity to transform turbulence into wisdom and chaos into clarity. Through this infinite cycle, we are continuously reborn, ever expanding our inner universes and writing epic sagas of growth, reflection, and serene renewal. Entropy and Renewal is a profound contemplation on the interplay between inevitable decay and the blossoming of new life, a reminder that endings are not terminal, but rather integral parts of an unending cycle of transformation. Just as the universe embraces entropy, the gradual transition from order to disorder, we too must accept that every surge of inflation, every moment of overwhelming change, carries within it the seeds of renewal. In the vast expanse of the cosmos, entropy is not merely a force of destruction, but a dynamic process that gradually erodes old structures, making space for the emergence of new stars, galaxies, and planetary systems. This natural progression suggests that within every ending lies an opportunity for new beginnings, echoing the timeless truth that loss is intrinsically linked with creation. Imagine the cosmic dance where energy and matter are in constant flux. The universe began in a state of searing heat and concentrated energy, only to expand rapidly in a burst known as inflation. As it expanded, the cosmos cooled, allowing matter to coalesce into intricate patterns and structures. This interplay between explosive growth and the subsequent onset of entropy serves as a powerful metaphor for our inner lives. When our emotions or circumstances surge with intensity, whether in the form of a personal breakthrough, a crisis, or a passionate burst of creativity, we are experiencing our own version of inflation. Initially, these moments brim with raw potential and dynamic energy, but as they evolve, they also undergo a natural process of dissipation, transformation, and integration. In personal experience, endings often feel like losses, a relationship fading, a career chapter closing, or dreams that no longer fit the mold of our current selves. Yet, much like the universe, these periods of apparent decay are necessary to clear the way for new phases of growth. The entropy we witness in our lives allows for the deconstruction of what is no longer viable, facilitating a transformation that can lead to unexpected opportunities and reinventions. Each farewell or seemingly disordered moment functions as a gentle reminder that renewal is always on the horizon. Our inner worlds, like a star-forming nebula, are in a constant state of flux, where the dissolution of outdated patterns provides the raw material for reinvention and evolution. Within this cyclic pattern lies a deeply liberating lesson. Nothing is permanent. Embracing entropy means accepting that all structures, whether they be physical, emotional, or intellectual, are transient. This awareness can be both humbling and empowering. On one level, it invites us to let go of the illusion of control and permanence, allowing us to live more fully in the present moment. On another level, it reveals that every conclusion paves the way for a new beginning. The collapse of an old idea or lifestyle isn't an end, but an opening for fresh, creative insights. When we learn to see endings as integral aspects of a larger process of renewal, we can approach life with a sense of curiosity and anticipation rather than fear or regret. The concept of entropy also extends into the realm of creativity. In art and literature, chaos and decay are often the precursors to profound beauty and innovation. A painter might start with broad, frenzied strokes that eventually give way to subtlety and nuance, much like the universe starts with explosive energy and matures into a tapestry of refined structures. Writers and musicians create narratives and symphonies out of fragments and dissonances, transforming disorder into harmonious expressions of the human condition. In this way, creative works become testaments to the idea that within every decay there lies a spark of inspiration, a prompt for transformation that, when harnessed, leads to masterpieces that resonate with deep universal truths. Even in the realm of our personal relationships, entropy plays a crucial role. Human connections are not static. They grow, change, and sometimes fall apart. Yet each phase enriches our understanding of ourselves and others. The end of a relationship can bring the painful sting of loss, but it can also serve as the catalyst for self-discovery, healing, and eventually, the formation of more meaningful bonds. In embracing the natural ebb and flow of interpersonal dynamics, we begin to see that every goodbye carries with it the promise of a new hello, a chance to rebuild, to reform, and to reconnect in unexpected ways. The eternal cycle of loss and renewal is also deeply embedded in nature itself. Consider the changing of the seasons. Winter, with its stark, barren landscapes, eventually gives way to the vibrant resurgence of spring. The barrenness of winter is not a void, but a necessary prelude to rebirth, clearing away the detritus of the old to make space for new growth. This natural rhythm of contraction and expansion mirrors the forces of entropy and renewal in our lives. It teaches us that periods of quiet dissolution are not failures, but essential phases in the ongoing journey of evolution and transformation. In reflecting on these patterns, we are reminded that our lives are continuous narratives marked by constant transitions. Each moment of inflation, each surge of intense experience, carries within it the potential for renewal when balanced by the natural entropy that gradually reshapes our internal landscapes. The interplay between the explosive and the dissolving is what makes our existence dynamic and resilient. By acknowledging this eternal cycle, we free ourselves to embrace change with open hearts and minds, confident that every ending is merely the precursor to a new beginning. Emotional eclipses is a vivid metaphor for those moments when our inner emotional landscape overwhelms the steady light of reason, much like the unpredictable flare of a solar corona that suddenly bathes the cosmos in radiant brilliance. In these fleeting yet intense episodes, our feelings burst forth with a force that momentarily obscures logical thought, painting our experiences with colors so vivid and raw that they leave an indelible mark on our hearts and minds. Imagine a clear day when, without warning, a solar flare ignites the sun's corona. a dazzling display of light and energy that, although short-lived, transforms the entire sky into a canvas of extraordinary hues. Our emotions can behave in a similar fashion. At times, a surge of joy, sorrow, anger, or passion can eclipse our usual capacity for detached contemplation. In that moment of sheer intensity, reason may retreat into the background, yielding to the luminous power of feeling. This process is not merely a loss of control, but a necessary, though transient, immersion into the depths of our inner worlds. A reminder that while rationality guides us through everyday life, it is our emotions that often infuse our existence with meaning and vitality. Such emotional eclipses serve both as a brilliant burst of creative energy and as a mirror reflecting our deepest vulnerabilities. During these peaks, the boundaries between thought and feeling blur, and our internal experiences can become overwhelmingly potent. For instance, consider the creative artist who, overwhelmed by passion or anguish, produces a masterpiece that resonates with audiences long after the moment has passed. Similarly, a powerful episode of grief or joy can galvanize us into actions or reflections that eventually lead to personal transformation. These emotional surges, while unpredictable and sometimes disruptive, are essential. They remind us that our capacity to feel deeply is not a flaw, but a profound human strength. At the same time, the transient nature of an emotional eclipse is key to its beauty and significance. Just as a solar flare gives way to the return of a calm and steady light, so too must the tempest of emotion eventually subside, allowing reason to re-emerge. In that period of rebalancing, the insights gleaned from the intense emotional experience can be integrated into our life's broader narrative. This cycle of eruption and dissolution underscores an important truth. While our emotions may occasionally overwhelm us, they are not permanent states, but dynamic processes that evolve over time. It is in the aftermath of these moments, when the chaos cools and clarity is restored, that we often find a renewed sense of purpose and direction. Moreover, emotional eclipses can act as pivotal turning points that signal the need for introspection and, ultimately, growth. They invite us to pause and reflect on the forces that drive our decisions, behaviors, and interactions. When reason is momentarily eclipsed by raw emotion, there is an opportunity to reassess our values and priorities. We might ask ourselves, what catalyzed such an overwhelming surge? Was it an unspoken desire, a long-suppressed memory, or perhaps a sudden realization about our own limitations and potential? By examining these intense moments, we can unearth hidden parts of ourselves and better understand the complex interplay between our inner impulses and the external realities we navigate. In relationships, too, emotional eclipses play a significant role. When our emotions run high, they can either forge deeper connections or create fissures that need healing. A moment of passionate love, fiery disagreement, or compassionate empathy can shift the dynamics between people, revealing layers of intimacy or misunderstanding that were previously unnoticed. These emotional highs and lows, although sometimes painful, often serve as catalysts for the evolution of our bonds with others. They remind us that vulnerability and openness, despite their inherent risks, are indispensable elements of authentic human connection. Science, too, offers a parallel in the natural world. The phenomenon of entropy, the gradual progression from order to disorder, demonstrates that systems are in a constant state of flux, where periods of energetic proliferation are inevitably followed by phases of decay and renewal. Emotional eclipses, while intense and seemingly chaotic, contribute to the dynamic equilibrium of our psyche. They disrupt the status quo, prompting us to shed outdated beliefs and behaviors and paving the way for new ways of thinking and being. In this context, each burst of overwhelming emotion serves not only as an expression of our humanity, but also as a precursor to a deeper, more integrated state of self-awareness. Furthermore, embracing the occurrence of emotional eclipses can empower us to live more fully and authentically. Instead of fearing the moments when emotion overshadows reason, we can learn to recognize these instances as vital signals from within, urging us to pay attention to aspects of our life that demand change or more profound understanding. By acknowledging and accepting these intense experiences, we open ourselves to a fuller spectrum of existence, one where passion and reason coexist in a delicate, ever-changing balance. Ultimately, emotional eclipses reminds us that our human experience is a tapestry woven from both the bright and the dark, the rational and the emotional. They illustrate that there is beauty in the temporary domination of feeling over reason and wisdom in the gentle restoration of balance afterwards. Each intense outpouring of emotion, though it may momentarily disrupt the clear light of rationality, is a vital part of our journey, a spark that ignites personal insight, fuels creativity, and deepens our connections with ourselves and others. In embracing these moments, we come to understand that our inner light, however unpredictable, is capable of both dazzling brilliance and serene renewal, guiding us along the infinite path of growth and transformation. Calculus of the Soul is an invitation to explore the profound interplay between mathematics and our inner experiences, a journey where each moment, like an infinitesimal slice of time, adds to the ever-evolving equation of our being. Just as mathematical curves can inflate exponentially, accumulating area under their arc to reveal the total magnitude of growth, so too do our experiences, each one a delicate yet impactful point, integrate into a rich, layered narrative that deepens our emotional lives. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, curving graph, one whose trajectory is defined not solely by predictable lines, but by dynamic fluctuations, peaks of passion, troughs of introspection, and steady slopes of quiet resilience. In calculus, the concept of integration allows us to aggregate countless infinitesimal contributions into one complete picture. In the same way, every fleeting moment, the smile shared with a friend, the quiet solitude of a reflective evening, the overwhelming surge of creative energy, contributes its own small fragment of meaning. Over time, these innumerable moments integrate into a total experience that far exceeds the sum of its parts, enriching our inner lives and deepening our understanding of who we are. This process is akin to the way mathematical integration accumulates area. Consider the exponential curve. Its initial steep ascent may seem almost imperceptible, yet as time progresses, the cumulative effect of small increases blossoms into a sweeping, powerful growth. Our personal journeys often mirror this phenomenon. A single transformative experience, a moment of insight, a life-changing conversation, or the emotional catharsis following a difficult challenge can act like an exponential increase, setting off a cascade of changes that reshape our perspectives and expand our capacity to feel and understand. These critical points punctuate our lives with profound significance, their impact magnified by the integration of subsequent related experiences. Moreover, calculus also teaches us about the rate of change, differentiation. When we differentiate a curve, we examine how rapidly it changes at any given moment. In our lives, this is akin to recognizing the instantaneous impact of our experiences. There are times when our emotional states shift almost imperceptibly, like the subtle derivative of a seemingly smooth function, and other moments when a sudden, dramatic change takes place. A burst of laughter, an unexpected loss, an epiphany that alters our trajectory. These differentiations in our emotional landscape allow us to measure how deeply or how rapidly our inner state is evolving. They provide us with snapshots of transformation that, though fleeting, inform us of our current direction and hint at the potential of what our integrated journey will become. Another rich analogy arises from the concept of limits in calculus, where we observe behavior as a variable approaches a certain point. Just as limits help us understand how a function behaves near a boundary or an asymptote, our experiences at the edge of our comfort zones often reveal the true depth of our emotional capacity. As we push beyond familiar territory, the small incremental moments we experience begin to approach a threshold, a point at which we discover that our inner potential is far more expansive than previously imagined. This steady accumulation, governed by the principles of the calculus of the soul, points to the infinite richness that awaits when we dare to venture into the unknown. The idea of accumulation in calculus not only underscores the transformative power of individual experiences, but also highlights the cumulative wisdom that arises over a lifetime. Much like the definite integral summarizes the total change over an interval, our life's journey embodies an integration of successes, failures, joys, and sorrows, all blending into a coherent narrative that informs our identity. Each memory, thought, and emotion serves as a building block in this grand equation, contributing to the integral of our emotional existence. In this sense, our very soul is continuously calculated and recalculated, a dynamic sum that grows and transforms with every moment we experience. Furthermore, much like the underlying principles of calculus can be applied to understand the natural world, from the paths of planets to the growth patterns of populations, the calculus of the soul offers a framework for interpreting our inner growth. It invites us to view our personal development not as isolated events, but as part of an interconnected system where small, seemingly insignificant acts accumulate into a reservoir of wisdom and resilience. When we embrace this perspective, we come to see that every challenge overcome, every joy celebrated, and every lesson learned is an essential variable in the function of our lives, each contributing to a final, profound equation of self-realization. In reflecting on the interplay of integration, differentiation, and limits within our emotional lives, we learn that growth is both gradual and punctuated by moments of intense revelation. The art of expanding our inner world lies in the continuous process of adding up every experience, the laughter and tears alike, transforming them into a singular, ever-evolving narrative that defines us. This is the calculus of the soul, a delicate balance between the instantaneous and the cumulative, the dramatic and the subtle, the familiar and the unexplored. Ultimately, embracing the calculus of the soul means accepting that our inner lives are not static or linear, but are instead dynamic processes of expansion and refinement. Every day presents an opportunity to add depth to our emotional equation, to differentiate our experiences into unique insights, and to integrate those insights into a cohesive understanding of our purpose and potential. Through this lens, we see that the journey is eternal, a beautiful, never-ending process of growth beyond limits, where every moment, however small, holds the promise of revolutionizing our inner universe. Dimensional drift is the subtle art of letting your thoughts wander like cosmic matter, expanding and contracting across the endless expanse of possibility, yet always finding a balance between the infinite and the finite. Imagine for a moment that your mind is not tethered to one single plane, but is capable of traversing multiple dimensions, a vast, multidimensional space where ideas, emotions, and sensations float freely like stardust. In this space, every thought is a particle in constant motion, drifting from one realm to another, sometimes coalescing into grand structures of insight, and at other times, dissipating into gentle echoes of what once was. As you allow your thoughts to drift, they begin a journey that mirrors the behavior of cosmic matter in the universe. In the distant reaches of space, matter is continuously expanding due to the forces of cosmic inflation, only to later condense under gravity into stars, planets, and galaxies. Similarly, your ideas can start as tiny seeds, a simple observation, a fleeting emotion, or an abstract intuition that expand outward into a boundless field of creative possibility. At their peak, these ideas swell with potential, encapsulating whole worlds of meaning. And then, like the gentle contraction of space when gravity reasserts its influence, your thoughts may condense back into clear insights and practical understanding, balancing the grand scale of your inner cosmos with the tangible steps of everyday life. This dynamic process of expansion and contraction is what makes the mind so wondrous. It's in these moments of drifting that you discover the interplay between chaos and order. When your thoughts expand without restraint, they embody the infinite potential of the universe. Everything seems possible. Every idea glows with the promise of a breakthrough. Yet, as the mind explores these vast expanses, it also naturally encounters boundaries, much like the finite edge of a nebula or the limits imposed by a distant horizon. It is here, in this interplay between boundlessness and limitation, that you begin to harness the true power of your inner creativity. The process is not about losing yourself in the vastness of thought, but rather about learning how to navigate that expanse, to drift purposefully across dimensions, extracting the gems of insight that lie scattered among the stars. Consider the way a river flows through varied landscapes, sometimes meandering slowly and gently over smooth plains, other times surging rapidly through rugged, narrowed channels. Your mind, too, has its own rhythm, a natural cadence where ideas are born, swell into magnificent streams of consciousness, and occasionally, when encountering obstacles or moments of clarity, slow down to allow reflection and integration. In these quieter, more reflective phases, you can observe the intricate interplay between the myriad elements that make up your inner universe. Emotions that once roiled like turbulent cosmic winds may settle into calm patterns, and fragmented thoughts can merge together to reveal a comprehensive perspective that is as awe-inspiring as it is calming. This dimensional drift is also a journey of balance, a delicate equilibrium where the infinite possibilities of imagination meet the firm ground of reality. In the vast, seemingly uncharted territories of your mind, there exists an endless reservoir of ideas waiting to be discovered. And yet, as you drift, you are also invited to bring these ideas back into focus, refining them into actionable insights that contribute to your growth and understanding. This is akin to a scientist exploring a new dimension of the universe. They immerse themselves in theoretical possibilities, only to later channel their discoveries into concrete innovations that transform our world. Similarly, by allowing your mind to drift beyond the conventional boundaries of thought, you open yourself up to novel perspectives and creative breakthroughs that can fundamentally alter how you perceive and interact with life. Every time you engage in this practice of dimensional drift, you are, in effect, learning to ride the waves of your own consciousness. It is an act of surrender and empowerment, a recognition that while the mind can expand into realms that seem as vast as infinity, it is also capable of returning to a state of centered clarity. This cyclical process is the engine of profound transformation, where periods of wild, unbridled creativity are balanced by moments of quiet reflection that ground your experiences in reality. As you navigate this continuum, you come to understand that every surge of imaginative energy, no matter how expansive, carries within it the seeds of renewal. The very act of exploring these alternate dimensions of thought reinforces your connection to the core of who you are, blending the abstract with the concrete to form a richer, more nuanced self. Moreover, dimensional drift has the power to dissolve the boundaries between disparate aspects of your life. When you allow your thoughts to explore freely, you may find that creative ideas emerge from unexpected places, insights about relationships, challenges in your career, or the beauty found in everyday moments. These insights are like messages carried on interstellar winds, whispering reminders that every experience contributes to the mosaic of your identity. It is in this integration of the infinite and the finite that your journey gains true depth. You begin to see that the fractures and gaps in your understanding are not weaknesses to be concealed, but portals to new horizons of thought and feeling. Chronicles of Change is the unfolding narrative of transformation, where every phase of inflation, whether seen in the surge of economies or the rush of our emotions, writes a new chapter in the grand chronicle of our lives. In this ever-evolving story, moments of rapid expansion and sudden contraction serve as pivotal turning points that redefine our understanding of both the external world and our inner selves. Each spike in economic value or surge of emotion carries with it lessons that, when carefully integrated, propel us toward a deeper, more nuanced existence. Imagine the bustling energy of a thriving market, where prices can skyrocket overnight, echoing the exuberant spirit of progress. These episodes of economic inflation often mirror the very essence of human ambition. Just as a sudden surge in market value can indicate new opportunities, innovations, and shifts in societal trends, so too do our emotional highs signal the birth of fresh ideas, heightened passions, and transformative experiences. In both cases, change is not static. It is a dynamic process, full of surprises and hidden potential. Each phase of expansion disrupts the status quo, challenging us to reimagine what is possible and to gather strength from the adversity that follows. When we observe the world around us, we see that change is an inescapable constant, a cyclic dance between growth and recalibration. Consider the natural world, where the seasons transition from the blossoming vibrancy of spring to the subdued reflection of winter. These cycles, marked by bursts of energy and periods of stillness, echo in our lives as well. An emotional high, much like a flourishing spring, infuses us with creativity, hope, and vitality. Yet, this same intensity inevitably gives way to moments of introspection and reset, akin to the quiet, reflective period of winter. It is during these quieter moments that we process our experiences, learn from our missteps, and lay the groundwork for future growth. In the realm of personal transformation, every chapter of change is layered with meaning. A period of intense emotion, be it the joy of a profound achievement or the sorrow of a significant loss, has the power to reshape our inner landscape. These emotional inflations can be exhilarating, filling us with energy and an insatiable desire for more. but they also serve as reminders of our vulnerability and the impermanent nature of our feelings. Just as an overheated economy eventually cools and returns to stability, our fleeting emotional peaks gradually subside, leaving behind a quiet clarity that prepares us for the next surge of experience. This delicate balance between intensity and calm is a testament to our resilience. Each cycle of emotional inflation and subsequent return to equilibrium enriches our character and deepens our capacity to navigate life's unpredictable journey. Moreover, the concept of inflation, whether financial or emotional, carries a dual message. It speaks of exponential potential, of growth that multiplies over time, yet it also warns us of the dangers of unchecked expansion. In an economy, runaway inflation can erode the value of money, diminishing the very resources that fuel progress. In the realm of emotions, when our feelings escalate without restraint, they can overshadow reason and compromise our ability to think clearly. These extremes, while powerful in their immediate effect, can distort our perceptions and lead to imbalance if not tempered by reflection and self-regulation. Thus, every chapter in the Chronicle of Change teaches us not only about the beauty of growth, but also about the importance of moderation and reflection, a call to harness our inner flames without allowing them to burn us out. This ongoing narrative of expansion and renewal is also a mirror to our collective evolution. Societal shifts, technological breakthroughs, and cultural revolutions all stem from periods of intense transformation. History is replete with examples of how radical change has given rise to new eras. The fervor of industrial revolutions, the tumult of social movements, and the disruptive innovation of the digital age all bear the marks of an inflationary impulse that, while initially disorienting, ultimately paved the way for progress. Each of these chapters in human history demonstrates that change, no matter how chaotic in the moment, is the engine of renewal and forward motion. Together, these moments coalesce into a tapestry of shared experience, stories of triumph and hardship interwoven into the fabric of our collective identity. On a deeply personal level, embracing the chronicles of our own change means accepting that transformation is both inevitable and indispensable. Every challenge we face, every emotional high or low, contributes to the evolving story of who we are. In the same way that a well-crafted narrative builds upon its earlier chapters, our lives are enriched by the cumulative impact of our experiences. Some chapters may be marked by disruption and loss, while others celebrate joy and remarkable breakthroughs. Yet each is vital. They are the individual strokes that, when viewed together, create the magnificent portrait of our life. Even the most difficult periods of inflation, those moments when everything seems to spiral out of control, are imbued with the potential for rebirth, setting the stage for future growth and a deeper understanding of ourselves. Reflecting on this journey, we can see that the process of change is not linear. Instead, it is cyclical, a continuous dance of expansion, collapse, and renewal. Like the orbit of celestial bodies that gradually shift and realign over time, our personal evolutions are marked by recurring themes. With each cycle, we gain new insights and cultivate greater resilience, learning to navigate both the peaks of exuberance and the valleys of quiet introspection. This rhythm of change helps us appreciate that nothing is permanent, and that every ending is simultaneously a beginning. Each phase of inflation, whether it is a period of economic boom or an emotional surge, provides the raw material for the next phase of our journey, a chance to rebuild, reimagine, and ultimately emerge stronger and more attuned to the intricate patterns of our existence. Psyche Unbound is an invitation to embrace the wild inflation of your inner self, a clarion call to welcome every unexpected surge of emotion as a powerful indicator of your limitless capacity for growth and reinvention. In the depths of our being, where thoughts and feelings intertwine like the intricate strands of cosmic nebulae, every burst of passion, every flicker of joy or sorrow swells with the potential to reshape our inner landscape. These emotional eruptions are not chaotic disruptions to be feared. They are the vibrant brushstrokes on the canvas of our soul, painting an ever-evolving portrait of who we are and who we have the power to become. Imagine your mind as a dynamic, ever-expanding universe. At times, the quiet, measured cadence of routine life can feel like the steady orbit of celestial bodies, a predictable path offering comfort and order. Yet, hidden within that calm are the potential sparks of revolutionary change. Like a sudden cosmic inflation, a single, unrestrained thought or emotion can trigger a transformative expansion, propelling you into realms of creativity and possibility previously uncharted. It is in these moments that you experience a liberation from self-imposed limitations, a break from the mundane, where the boundaries of fear and convention dissolve into the vast expanse of your potential. Every emotional burst, whether it rises from the depths of exhilarating triumph or the shadow of profound sorrow, serves as a vital reminder that the human spirit is not static, but perpetually evolving. Just as the universe continually reinvents itself through cycles of explosive expansion and gentle contraction, so too do our inner lives thrive on the interplay between intense experience and reflective renewal. In the wake of an emotional surge, you might discover that the initial turmoil gradually gives way to clarity and strength. The chaos transforms into a fertile ground for new ideas and transformative insights. This process of emotional inflation and subsequent integration is a testament to your resilience and an affirmation that every upheaval carries the seeds of a fresh beginning. The wild inflation of your inner self is not merely about momentary excess. It is about the extraordinary process of transmutation. Consider how intense experiences, no matter how overwhelming, function as catalysts that strip away the superficial layers of our identity, exposing the raw, unfiltered essence of our being. In that vulnerable space, you have the opportunity to reconstruct your inner world with greater authenticity and depth. Like an alchemist turning lead into gold, you convert the raw energy of your emotions into wisdom, creativity, and newfound purpose. This alchemical process is the very heartbeat of personal transformation, enabling you to break free from outdated patterns and harness your emotional energy as fuel for unstoppable reinvention. Psyche Unbound also celebrates the symphony of contradictions inherent in the human experience. There is a unique beauty in the tension between control and wild abandon, the way our rational minds seek to impose structure, even as our hearts yearn for unbridled freedom. When these forces dance together harmoniously, they give rise to moments of profound insight and artistic expression. A passionate outburst may disrupt your carefully constructed plans, but it also propels you toward innovative solutions and fresh perspectives. It is within this intricate interplay that creativity is born, and through this dynamic fusion, you learn to navigate life's uncertainties with courage and grace. In the broader tapestry of existence, your inner revolutions contribute to a collective narrative of change and evolution. Every person's emotional inflation is a chapter in the grand chronicle of the human spirit, a mosaic composed of bursts of intensity, periods of introspection, and the quiet triumphs of renewal. By embracing your own wild expansiveness, you not only empower yourself to explore the limitless realms of possibility, but also inspire others to do the same. The ripple effects of this personal revolution can extend far beyond your individual experience, touching communities and shaping the cultural fabric of a society that values growth, authenticity, and the courage to dream boldly. As you journey through life, let each emotional burst be a beacon that illuminates the path to your most authentic self. Recognize that the moments when you feel most overwhelmed are often the very moments that carry the potential for the deepest transformation. In these episodes, you're invited to release your grip on fear and conventional expectations, allowing your inner self to expand freely, much like the cosmos, unfurling its infinite wonders with every passing second. This embrace of wild emotional inflation is not a surrender to chaos, but a conscious choice to view each experience as an essential part of your evolution, a powerful testament to the inexhaustible richness of the human soul. Ultimately, Psyche Unbound is a celebration of the transformative power inherent in every moment of intensity. It is a call to honor the wild, uncontainable energy that courses through you, knowing that each pulse, no matter how turbulent, is a precious reminder of your capacity to grow, to reinvent, and to shine. In the grand equation of life, every emotional surge contributes to the sum of your experiences, creating an intricate calculus of feeling and thought that defines your unique journey. Embrace these moments of wild inflation, for they are not merely disruptions, but the very lifeblood of your personal evolution, a testament to the infinite possibilities that lie within you, waiting to be explored. Beyond the familiar is an invitation to step out of the well-worn paths of what we have always known, and to embrace an ever-expanding horizon of possibility. Inflation pushes the boundaries of known reality, inviting you to traverse realms beyond the familiar into mesmerizing landscapes of possibility. In this journey of exploration, we discover that the familiar is but a starting point, a safe harbor from which we launch into uncharted territories where creativity reigns and dreams take on vivid new dimensions. Imagine for a moment the sensation of looking out over an endless expanse of dark ocean, under a sky ablaze with starlight. The shore behind you represents all you have known, the daily routines, predictable patterns, and deeply rooted beliefs that have sustained you thus far. Yet beyond that shoreline lies an uncharted realm, as mysterious as it is inviting, a space where the rules you once took for granted are challenged, transformed, and reimagined. In this arena, the steady rise of inflation is not merely an economic phenomenon, but a metaphor for the personal and collective growth that pushes us to break free from comfort, expand our perspectives, and reinvent ourselves. When we speak of inflation in this metaphorical sense, we are not referring solely to the fluctuation of prices or the swelling of economies. Rather, it is the dynamic process of expansion within our inner worlds. It is the way that every bold idea, every intense emotion, every transformative experience adds an extra dimension to our existence. Like an inflating balloon that momentarily defies gravity, our thoughts and feelings swell with potential, capturing and reflecting the light of our most profound aspirations. This expansion is not erratic. Rather, it is a carefully orchestrated rebellion against stagnation, a call to let go of rigid expectations, to permit even the most outlandish dreams to find form, and to trust that within that very act of stretching beyond what is known lies the seed of a revolutionary transformation. As you venture beyond the familiar, consider the analogy of a mountain climber ascending a rugged peak shrouded in mist. The base of the mountain, solid and dependable, represents all that is familiar and safe in your life. But there, high above in the thinning air and amid swirling clouds, is a world rarely seen, a realm of breathtaking vistas and unexpected challenges. This higher domain is not reached through passive observation, but through active, sometimes strenuous, effort. Each step upward is both an act of courage and a commitment to the belief that what lies beyond is worth the uncertainty. In the same way, the process of personal and intellectual expansion is a conscious journey. It involves stepping away from the known, exploring uncertainties with curiosity rather than fear, and embracing the transformative potential of confronting the unknown. Consider how the creative process mirrors this very idea. When an artist begins with a blank canvas, the initial strokes may be tentative and unsure, laying out the basic framework of an idea. But as the artist continues to work, these early marks expand and evolve, merging into an intricate tapestry of color, form, and emotion, a work of art that transcends its humble beginnings. In music, a single note, resonating with possibility, often forms the basis of symphonies that stir the soul. Similarly, every moment in our lives contains the possibility of taking that single spark of an idea or emotion and, with nurturing and boldness, transforming it into something grand and transformative. Our inner inflation, the swelling of our creative impulses, becomes the driving force behind innovation, personal growth, and profound insights that redefine the boundaries of our existence. Beyond the familiar also means embracing vulnerability, the willingness to expose oneself to uncertainty, to risk failure in pursuit of something greater. It is in those fragile moments of uncertainty that our true strength often emerges. When we let go of the rigid confines of our past, we allow ourselves to be reshaped by new experiences. Just as the universe undergoes continual transformation, expanding and contracting in a rhythmic dance of creation and renewal, so too do our lives evolve through cycles of exhilarating growth and reflective pause. Each phase contributes to our personal narrative, adding layers of depth to our understanding of who we are and what we might become. The act of venturing beyond what is known is inherently a process of self-discovery, one that teaches us to trust our instincts, to honor our inner voice, and to see every setback as a precursor to further growth. In the tapestry of life, the interplay between the infinite potential of our dreams and the finite realities we must navigate defines our journey. While the gravitational pull of the familiar may anchor us in comfort, it is the irresistible call of the unknown that compels us to soar. As you journey beyond the familiar, you encounter both wonder and challenge. Each moment of inflation in your inner world leaves an imprint on your soul, inviting you to re-examine old truths and forge new paths. These moments, both exhilarating and humbling, reveal that the boundaries we once considered absolute are, in fact, transient constructs, stepping stones rather than walls. As you reflect on your own experiences, remember that every phase of expansion adds to the chronicle of your existence. The challenges you overcome, the ideas you nurture, and the risks you dare to take all contribute to an ever-evolving personal symphony, one that is rich with the textures of triumph, learning, and relentless reinvention. In embracing the wild inflation of your inner life, you acknowledge that true transformation is not a single event, but a continuous process, a delicate balance between pushing outwards into the vast unknown and anchoring yourself in the wisdom of your past. Temporal Tapestry is an invitation to envision each moment as an exquisite, woven thread in the grand design of time, a living masterpiece where the forces of inflation act like a masterful artist, imbuing every memory and dream with brilliant hues and vibrancy. Imagine for a moment that time itself is not a linear progression of seconds ticking by, but a vast, intricate loom on which our experiences are spun into the fabric of our existence. Every laugh, every tear, every daring hope and quiet reflection becomes a thread, interlacing with countless others to form a multi-dimensional tapestry, rich with meaning and history. At the very heart of this temporal tapestry lies the idea that nothing is static. Each moment, like a single filament of light, contributes its unique color and texture to the overall design. Just as a master weaver selects threads of various shades and textures to create a harmonious pattern, the process of inflation, whether understood in economic terms or as a metaphor for emotional growth, serves to magnify and intensify the vibrancy of our experiences. It is as if the pressure of existence itself inflates the threads of our memories, enhancing their beauty and significance, and reminding us that even the most fleeting instant can carry a universe of meaning. Consider the early days of life as a series of raw, unspun threads, vivid, unshaped moments still awaiting their form. Over time, as these threads are drawn through the loom of experiences, they undergo a transformative process. The gentle yet persistent force of time and circumstance stretches and enriches these threads, causing them to swell with the colors of passion, wisdom, sorrow, and joy. This inflation is not chaotic, but rather a beautiful, organic process of development. It's the way in which a quiet morning, a shared smile, or the resolute pursuit of a long-held dream is gradually enhanced, expanding to fill the canvas of our personal history with splashes of luminous hue. In this grand design, every challenge and triumph, every routine day and extraordinary event is meticulously interwoven. A moment of triumph might burst forth like a vibrant scarlet thread, symbolizing passion and resilience, while periods of introspection may weave in deeper, cooler tones that evoke wisdom and calm. Just as the interplay of light and shadow enhances a painting's depth, the varying intensities of our experiences create contrast and texture in our personal narrative. This dynamic interplay between inflation, the spontaneous expansion of emotion and idea, and the steady passage of time leads to a perpetual cycle of growth, wherein each new experience adds layers of depth to our inner world. Imagine a time when a sudden realization or an unexpected burst of creativity lifts your spirit like a brilliant flare in the darkness. In that instant, the mundane transcends its ordinary state, and your inner canvas is momentarily illuminated with an intensity that defies ordinary perception. That moment, much like an inflationary surge, pushes the boundaries of what you thought possible, revealing hidden strengths and secrets of your inner nature. It is in these incandescent flashes that you begin to understand the infinite potential within, as the threads of your past and present converge to reveal patterns that guide your future. Yet, the tapestry of time is not made solely of vibrant, inflated moments. Equally significant are the quieter, subtler shades, those soft whispers of memory that weave through the fabric unnoticed at first glance, but reveal their beauty upon closer inspection. These are the moments of gentle reflection, the calm interludes that allow you to gather strength and reassess your path. In the grand design, These subdued hues provide balance to the explosive bursts of emotion, ensuring that the overall composition remains harmonious and deeply resonant. The interplay between the intense and the serene teaches us that growth and renewal are not linear phenomena, but complex, layered processes shaped by both our most passionate achievements and our quiet, reflective moments. As the loom of time continues to move, the threads of our lives are constantly being rewoven. Past experiences, like well-worn threads, interlace with fresh, emerging strands, creating a pattern that is at once familiar and ever-changing. This constant recomposition reminds us that our identity is fluid, a tapestry that is continually reimagined with each passing moment. The inflation of our inner world enriches this fabric, adding dynamic splashes of color to the narrative of our lives, while the gentle, steady pull of time ensures that no moment is isolated. Together, they create a continuum where every thread counts, and every experience, no matter how small, contributes to the epic saga of our existence. In a broader sense, the temporal tapestry extends beyond individual lives to encompass the collective story of humanity. Societies, cultures, and civilizations are themselves composed of countless threads of individual experience. Major historical events, cultural revolutions, and even the quiet shifts in societal values are interwoven into an immense, ever-expanding chronicle. In this collective tapestry, moments of significant inflation, whether economic surges, technological breakthroughs, or cultural renaissances, serve as bold strokes that alter the course of history and inspire generations to dream and innovate. These shared threads of experience highlight the unity and diversity of human life, illustrating how the interplay of personal and collective growth continuously shapes the world around us. The beautiful truth of the temporal tapestry is that it is never complete. It is always in the making. Each day, each minute, and each heartbeat adds a new filament, a new color to the mosaic of existence. There is a certain magic in recognizing that no moment is wasted, that even the struggles and failures are integral to the overall beauty of the design. They provide contrast, texture, and depth, ensuring that the narrative is as rich and multifaceted as life itself. The dynamic process of inflation and subsequent reintegration into the tapestry is a reminder that endings and beginnings are intertwined. Every chapter that closes ushers in the promise of new threads, new stories yet to be told. Paradox of plenty is the unfolding realization that in a world overflowing with abundance, where material possessions, opportunities, and even trivial distractions seem to inflate endlessly, the true measure of richness is not found in what is available in quantity, but in the rare, genuine moments of heartfelt connection that ground our human experience. In our modern era, we are inundated by a constant barrage of stimuli, a digital deluge of images, news, and social media posts that inflate our sense of what is possible and, paradoxically, what is necessary. This overabundance creates an environment where the sheer volume of external input can diminish the quality of our internal lives, leaving us yearning for the authenticity that emerges only in the quiet spaces between the chaos. Imagine a city where billboards, advertisements, and messages compete relentlessly for attention. In such a setting, every commodity and every idea is magnified, their values perpetually in flux as prices rise and fall. Yet amid this hyperinflated marketplace of goods and ideas, there remains a scarcity not of things, but of sincere, unadorned human connection. The paradox emerges. While society celebrates the endless proliferation of products and opportunities, it is in the infrequent and unpolished moments of genuine interaction, a shared smile on a busy sidewalk, an unexpected embrace in times of need, a quiet conversation over coffee, that we truly experience the wealth of our existence. In our personal lives, this paradox is equally poignant. We often find ourselves chasing after external achievements, convinced that accumulating more, whether wealth, accolades, or even experiences, will fill the void within. Yet, as our calendars and social feeds become saturated with events and activities designed to boost our social capital, many of us are left feeling increasingly isolated. The endless cycle of consumption and pursuit creates an illusion of plenty, but the deeper, more nourishing aspects of our lives, those moments when we are fully present with another, when we allow our true selves to be seen without pretense, remain rare and precious. These are the moments that remind us of our shared humanity, where vulnerability is met with empathy, and the noise of the external world falls away to reveal the soft yet resonant beating of compassionate hearts. Consider the simple act of conversation, a face-to-face dialogue that unfolds slowly, with pauses that allow for reflection and genuine listening. In an age where communication is often reduced to rapid-fire texts and quick social media updates, the art of truly connecting with another person has become a rare commodity. Yet it is in these unhurried exchanges that we find the raw materials of trust, understanding, and love. They stand as a testament to the idea that while external abundance can be quantified and marketed, the quality of our inner lives is measured by the moments when we are truly seen, heard, and valued for who we are. Such moments are not mass-produced. They are crafted in the intimacy of shared experience and nurtured over time, much like a treasured piece of art that gains meaning and beauty from its imperfections. On a broader level, the paradox of plenty also speaks to the cultural and societal values that shape our collective lives. In many parts of the world, rapid economic growth and technological advancements have led to an explosion of resources and opportunities. However, this very abundance can also lead to a dilution of values, where fleeting trends and superficial connections replace long-term commitment and deep relational bonds. We see it in communities where material success is celebrated, yet people often report a profound loneliness or a sense of disconnection from those around them. The more we are exposed to the spectacle of endless possibility, more options at our fingertips, the more we risk overlooking the simple, often overlooked moments that give our lives true meaning. It is in the interplay between the shiny allure of modern abundance and the understated beauty of sincere human connection that the true richness of life is revealed. Furthermore, the constant state of inflation in our external environment can create an insatiable desire for novelty, a relentless pursuit of the next big thing that leaves little room for reflection or gratitude. Each new gadget, each new trend inflates the cultural marketplace, pushing us to redefine our desires and goals continuously. Yet in this ever-shifting landscape, the timeless value of genuine connection remains unchanged. Unlike the ephemeral satisfaction derived from acquiring something new, the warmth of authentic relationships nourishes our souls in ways that cannot be replicated by any material acquisition. It is a reminder that while the external world may constantly evolve and expand, the core of our happiness lies in the enduring bonds we form with others, bonds that, once established, resist the transient nature of external trends. In a sense, this paradox challenges us to recalibrate our understanding of what it means to be rich. True abundance is not found by merely accumulating possessions or experiences, but by cultivating the capacity to appreciate the moments that are scarce and irreplaceable. It calls upon us to slow down and savor the quality of our interpersonal connections, to invest time and energy in relationships that deepen over time, rather than treating connection as another consumable product to be updated or discarded. Whether it is the steady support of a longtime friend, the compassionate presence of a loved one during difficult times, or the spontaneous laughter shared in unexpected moments, these are the elements that add genuine luminance to our existence. Ultimately, the paradox of plenty is an invitation to look beyond the surface of endless abundance and to recognize that the true wealth of life is measured not in what we can accumulate, but in the depth of our connections. In the midst of inflation, whether economic or emotional, the scarcity of heartfelt, authentic engagement becomes all the more valuable. It is in cherishing these rare moments that we find balance in a world overwhelmed by excess. Such moments are the anchors that ground us in our shared humanity, the quiet beacons that guide us back to what truly matters when the world around us seems to be perpetually on the rise. Fractal Fantasies is an invitation to reconceive the landscape of our thoughts as dynamic, self-replicating patterns, intricate fractals that swell with creative energy and unfold layer upon layer, revealing endless depths of possibility. Visualize your thoughts as an ever-expanding series of fractal shapes, each echoing a common motif, yet adorned with subtle variations that evolve over time. Just as mathematicians marvel at the elegant complexity of fractals, where a simple formula can yield an infinitely detailed design when repeated across scales, our inner worlds echo this phenomenon. Every burst of insight, every fleeting emotion multiplies into patterns of creativity that dance together in a ceaseless interplay of order and surprise. Imagine starting with a single modest idea, a spark of inspiration that might seem insignificant at first glance. As you nurture that idea, it begins to branch out like the first tendrils of a fractal pattern. Each branch gives birth to smaller offshoots, and those, in turn, create even finer filigree. This is the nature of creative thought. What starts as a simple notion inflates into an intricate network, each repetition adding nuance and depth. Much like the Mandelbrot set, where zooming in reveals startling complexity despite underlying self-similarity, your creative thoughts can be explored at different levels. At a glance, one might see only the general shape of an idea, but as you delve deeper, you uncover layers of meaning, connections to memories, insights, and dreams that span the landscape of your experience. This fractal perspective teaches us that creativity is not a linear process, but a spiral journey where every turn brings us closer to a more profound understanding of who we are. Each iteration of your thought patterns functions as both a mirror and a window. A mirror reflecting familiar themes, and a window opening onto novel avenues of possibility. When you allow your mind to wander freely, you engage in an act of creative inflation, a deliberate expansion of perception that dismisses conventional boundaries. In these moments, mundane thoughts transform into vibrant tapestries of color and structure, echoing patterns found in nature's most beautiful designs, from the branching of trees and the spiral of galaxies to the delicate veins on a leaf. Fractals reside everywhere in the natural world, serving as a constant reminder that complexity often arises from simplicity. Take, for instance, the filigree of frost on a winter window, or the delicate, recursive patterns in a fern's frond. These formations are not random. They are governed by simple rules that, when applied repeatedly, result in an awe-inspiring display of structure. In a similar way, our minds are governed by both our innate tendencies and our accumulated experiences. Every thought you form is influenced by prior learning, emotional memory, and unconscious bias. But rather than limiting you, these influences serve as the foundational rules that help generate your unique fractal signature, an organic, ever-shifting pattern of ideas and feelings that is entirely your own. In embracing this process, you learn that complexity and beauty are not the products of external forces alone, but arise also from the internal logic and intricate interweaving of your experiences. There is also a liberating quality in acknowledging that your thoughts are fractal in nature, for it implies that no single idea is ever truly isolated. Every burst of creativity has within it the potential to regenerate, to inspire further iterations, to evolve into unexpected dimensions. A single creative impulse might lead you to write a poem that captures a fragment of your soul. From that poem may spring new images, lines of thought that remind you of a memory, or even set off a chain reaction that culminates in an entirely new creative project. This cascading effect is the hallmark of fractal expansion. Each element of the whole gives rise to new components that, while echoing the original, forge fresh patterns and meanings. It is a potent metaphor for personal growth and reinvention. Small shifts in perspective can lead to resounding transformations over time as your inner patterns adapt, reconfigure, and generate new pathways for understanding and expression. Moreover, the beauty of fractal fantasies lies in their inherent duality. They are at once predictable and completely surprising. There is a comforting order in the repetition of familiar motifs, a sense of continuity that can bring solace in the face of life's chaos. Yet, the infinite complexity at every scale reveals that no matter how well you think you understand the pattern, there is always more to discover. This mirrors life itself. The more you explore your inner world, the more hidden depths you encounter. Every seemingly small or insignificant moment might contain seeds of unforeseen inspiration. As you begin to notice these recurring patterns, you start to appreciate that your inner universe is not a static repository of ideas, but a dynamic, evolving work of art, one that is constantly in flux, perpetually reinventing itself and offering you new vistas of understanding with each turn. Embracing fractal fantasies also means accepting that the processes underlying your thoughts are not bound by a linear timeline. Just as fractals exhibit self-similarity regardless of scale, your capacity for creativity remains intact whether you're reliving a cherished memory or dreaming about future possibilities. The same recurring patterns, be they desires, fears, ambitions, or memories, can manifest in various forms, weaving together the past, present, and future in a timeless dance of self-discovery. This fluidity allows you to recontextualize old ideas and transform them into powerful insights. By revisiting and reinterpreting these recurring motifs, you can experience a renewal of meaning, a sort of emotional and intellectual regeneration that fuels ongoing growth and transformation. The eternal unfolding is a poetic celebration of existence itself, a grand ballet where each moment, like a burst of inflation, unveils a tiny fragment of eternity and whispers of the limitless potential that life holds. Imagine the cosmos in its vast splendor, a universe that began with a frenetic expansion, a dramatic inflation that shattered the confines of a singularity and gave birth to galaxies and stars. In that early, explosive moment, the seeds of boundless possibility were sown, setting the stage for a journey of perpetual creation and transformation. Much like that cosmic event, every moment of our lives is an unfolding, a silent testament to the fact that no experience is ever final, but always a point of transition into something greater. In our daily existence, we often measure time by routines and schedules, believing that our moments pass in a predictable, linear fashion. Yet, beneath this external order, there is an inner rhythm, a pulse that echoes the very expansion of the universe. Each heartbeat, each fleeting thought, and every emotional surge is like an impulse of inflation that swells with meaning and potential. As you breathe in, imagine the air as a medium charged with possibility, expanding your inner being. As you exhale, envision the gentle settling of energy into a quiet reservoir of wisdom. In this continuous interplay between surge and silence, life reveals itself not as a series of isolated events, but as an eternal unfolding, a tapestry woven from countless delicate moments that accumulate into the vast panorama of who you are. Consider the symbolic power of inflation in this context. In everyday language, inflation might suggest an overabundance or the runaway growth of numbers. Yet here it takes on a metaphorical splendor. It speaks of an inner expansion, a moment when the confines of the ordinary are stretched to make room for the extraordinary. When you experience a surge of joy, the sudden rush of insight, or even the stirring of deep creative desire, you are witnessing your inner universe inflating. Each such burst a fleeting yet powerful reminder of your capacity to transcend limitations. These bursts are not chaotic accidents. They are the very markers of growth, the evidence that life, with all its twists and turns, is ever in motion, forever evolving. This concept of eternal unfolding encourages you to see change not as something to be feared or resisted, but as a natural and necessary part of the journey. Just as the universe continually expands, contracts, and reconfigures itself, galaxies forming from nebulae, stars birthing new planetary systems, your inner life is a dynamic process where endings beget beginnings. There is a profound beauty in acknowledging that every conclusion, every moment of apparent stillness or even loss, holds within it the promise of renewal. When a chapter closes in your life, when a relationship ends, a career path shifts, or a personal dream transforms, the fabric of your existence is not torn, but rather reknitted in new, unexpected patterns that often lead to unexpected triumphs. In this way, the unfolding of time is a dance of entropy and rebirth, where each phase, however transient, plays an essential role in the symphony of being. Imagine standing before a vast, ancient mural, a visual record of countless lives and histories, each stroke of color representing a moment of intensity, each gradient a subtle transition of experience. Your life is much like this mural, a complex composition of experiences that over time build into an epic narrative. The brilliant hues of joy, passion, and discovery contrast with the muted tones of introspection, sorrow, or challenge. Both the radiant and the subdued are necessary. They give the mural depth and texture, making its beauties all the more striking. The eternal unfolding is this mural in motion, an ever-changing work of art that never ceases to amaze, for with each passing moment, it gains a new layer, a new secret, a new spark of potential that further enlivens the canvas of existence. As you journey through life, you may find that moments of deep insight or emotional intensity often come unexpectedly, like sudden beams of light piercing through a cloudy sky. In those instants, your mind and heart are lifted out of the mundane, and you glimpse a realm where possibility is limitless. It is as if time itself slows down to allow you to appreciate the beauty of the now, to feel the profound connection between your inner dreams and the outer, ever-expanding universe. These moments invite you to pause, to reflect, and to integrate the wisdom they offer into the broader narrative of your life. They remind you that you are not defined by any single moment, but by the perpetual interplay of energy, intention, and transformation. The infinite unfolding of your soul's journey. The eternal unfolding also calls upon you to embrace uncertainty, to hold sacred the idea that life is not static or predetermined, but is a canvas of endless possibility. In the midst of life's complexities and unpredictability, there is a hidden order, a graceful choreography that balances the wild exuberance of growth with the serene certainty of renewal. This duality is the heartbeat of existence. It is what makes you human, capable of feeling deeply and dreaming boundlessly. By viewing each moment as both a finite instance and a gateway to the infinite, you learn that your potential is not confined to what you can see or measure. Instead, it extends into the realms of the unknown, where every experience, every fleeting thought, contributes to the grand, eternal tapestry of who you are.